Hello, everybody, and welcome to a big episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. My name is Ben Hansen. Thank you for being here. I'm joined once again for the big Game of the Year celebrations and debates here at MinnMax by the full darn crew. We have Haley McLean.
Let's freaking go.
We have Janet Garcia.
Hello.
We have Kelsey Lewin.
Was that, you're going to say Haley twice?
I wouldn't dream of it. We're also joined by Jacob Keller.
Haley 3 times.
Kyle Hilliard.
Hello.
Hilliard, I should have said. Dang it. Leo Vader.
The Haley of guys.
And Jeff Markiafava.
Hello.
And Sarah Pazorski.
Haley, if she was me.
That's right. Welcome, everybody. This is the 210s debate. We've been talking about it probably all year on the podcast on the MinnMax Show and saying, end of the year, we're going to be debating and locking down truly what are the greatest games of 2024. So with this episode, we are building the list. Hashtag building the list of all of the games we want to celebrate this year. Building the list and then clearly delineating the top 20, we say 210s, freaks out there say top 20 games of the year, and then basically decoupling the train and everything else is getting sent into the wastelands. And then the next episode of the podcast is us going to be ranking everything that is on the 210s. But thank you so much for being here. If you enjoy this content, you can help spread the word. You can unlock an ad-free version one day early by supporting us at patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. Or if you jump in at that $10 tier, you get the Backstage Pass, which lets you watch all of the unedited videos here early. So you could see who wins our entire darn thing a week ahead of anybody else. If you want to join the $10 tier, it's all in that Discord. And shout out, by the way, to Sega. They gave some Steam codes to members of the MinnMax community via the Discord who jumped up to that Backstage Pass tier. So thanks to them. And they were Steam codes for Shadow Cross Sonic Generations there, a game that Kelsey Lewin says, not half bad.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Not quite 210s good, but
review.
Steam says it's overwhelmingly
Well,
positive.
no, we don't know.
You know what? That's true. That's true. We'll see how it goes. But thank you so much again, everybody, for jumping in, supporting us. Greatly appreciate it. Let's have some groundwork set here. First of all, this is not perfect. This is not a science. This is the 9 of us measuring our passion. Oh, yeah, this is Oathy. That's all we're doing here is measuring our passion. When you watch or listen to this, I promise you, you will disagree with us at some point. I know you will. And I want you to know that it's okay to disagree. Instead of jumping in those comments with a fiery rage and passion, here's what you do. You jump in the comments and you say, I don't know, this is my top 10 personally for the year. Now, there's a productive thing. You can recommend some games to people. They'd love it. Or if you really want to dive in, you can fix this list by joining MinnMax's Patreon, where you get access to the Discord, because in the Discord, you are going to be creating a communal hive mind of the true 210s, the community's ultimate voting ranking for the 210s. So if you want to help fix the list and contribute to the hive mind of what actually are the greatest games of this year, you can jump in to the Discord.
I'm not repeating all that.
Yeah, it's a little wordy.
Just try, everybody.
All I got was we only care about the opinion if you pay us.
That's right.
Then I'll go into
Why
Discord
you're
and be
here
like,
to be heard, pay up.
Trash taste.
That's
L
it.
Games.
And
No
oath
freeloaders.
over and scene. All right. More table setting. This won't end because this is going to be a huge episode. The way we've mentioned this in the past is, first of all, we're going to be randomizing who goes first for building up this list. And it's not locked in at whatever number it gets to, because we're not doing our jobs if it is, because we need to poke the Jenga block of everything on this list 6 ways to Sunday. But the thing is, in the past, we've argued what qualifies for this list. Can we put an old game on here, a remake, a remaster, a live service game? For MinnMax's list, the way that we frame it is it has a shot at being on the list if it, quote, had a game-changing update this year. Game-changing update makes it qualified for this list, everybody. So I think Erdtree is a contender. We'll see how it goes. Also, we're measuring all of our passions. If someone tried a game and bounced off it, but it wasn't really their genre, doesn't hurt it that bad. Being really disappointed in a game, that's a ding. You better believe that's a ding. It's not the deciding factor because passion is ultimately the deciding factor, but that's how we're doing it here. All right. Also, we should mention if we get into spoilers for any of these games, we will put spoiler gates in the timestamp so you can see exactly when we're spoiling these games, and we won't be spoiling anything outside of those. Sarah Pozorski, how are you feeling this year?
I feel as though I will have a panic attack, but that's okay.
Let's
get to it.
I think every year it's always amazing how many games we're trying to squeeze into the 210s. I think it's going to be horrifying once we realize, like, oh God, this person's championing this game. I didn't even factor that in, but let's dive into it.
This was also
always
the
think it's
year
gonna-
of a million games.
It really was.
And
A million games.
When you do the math, like there's 9 of us, and so that breaks down to like, I mean, we're gonna overlap on a lot of games, but like we basically only get 2 games on this list each.
Interesting way of looking at it. It's an imperfect science, but it's a
I
science
would like
nonetheless.
to nominate my 2 games.
Okay, here we go. Here's the only way to make it fair, everybody, for determining who goes first. As Kelsey mentioned, there are 9 of us. So here's how it's going to work. Don't look
Seniority.
Don't look at the screen right now, you old man.
Me and Jeff will go first.
born
Yucko.
last.
Okay, no one look at the stream. If you're watching the live version, don't look at that anymore, because there's going to be something very telling where I have a list, a randomized wheel of all of the members of the Fellowship of the Ring. Only one will be the winner.
Gimli.
You choose who you want. Now, Haley claimed Gimli quickly. All right, let me actually spin this wheel. So again, don't look at the stream, but
Oh, it's literally
Look, this.
Wait, I thought that was going to be our names.
This.
I thought it was like our actual names.
no, this is going to be determining who is going first, whoever chooses which character. So I'm
Was our
spinning right
name
now.
on the budget?
I'm spinning it
no,
right
right, Lord of the
now.
Rings.
This method is racist
I don't
against
know
people that don't know
Lord
Lord
of
of the
the
Rings because
Well, then you can
so
just
much
go.
peer
Don't
pressure to look at it right now.
is
Don't
Bilbo
look at it.
somebody, right?
Don't look
He
at
was
it.
there.
Okay,
We
so
don't
Haley
choose, right? You're assigning, right?
Haley called Gimli.
Who is
Okay.
available?
And?
Okay.
I would like to choose Mary.
Okay.
Is that because that's what won on the wheel?
Hang on, Sarah, did you look?
Why don't you just put our
I
names
don't
in
want
the wheel?
Calling it before we've divvied names.
I don't know the name.
Why is it not just a
right.
wheel with our
Great
names
start.
Sarah,
on
did you
it?
just immediately look at the live stream after I said don't look at the live stream?
Yeah.
Why is it not just a wheel with our names
Why
on
would
it?
you do
I thought it was
that?
going to be a
guess
wheel
I
with our
won, so we
names
can
on
move
it, not a
When
wheel with
Ben
some
said,
random names
Oh
I've
my
never
I've
heard
never
to
God.
randomly pick who's
Guys,
there.
look,
I never
guys,
thought it would
let's
be
just give
anything
it
that
to
isn't just our
Jacob.
names in a hat. Like, it
No.
doesn't make any
Let's
sense.
just give it to Jacob
It's just-
and
yeah.
move on.
Okay, then go ahead, Jacob. It's all yours.
1,000 times resist.
Wow.
We're off to a really
All of that to
yay.
get 1,000 times
But we're not gonna
resist.
clap after each one, though, are we? Are we supposed to?
We don't clap
I'll
for
feel bad
Sarah's.
if you don't.
Right, right.
I'm clapping for the number
Wow.
one game being put in the number 1 spot. That's perfect.
Okay, and then
got it.
going down the list there, just let her fly for the ranking there.
Oh, yeah. Astrobot.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
we're not doing that
Yeah,
anymore.
that's good.
I feel like we don't need to.
Too much
I
time.
don't.
We
I'm not
wasted
a
a
fan
lot
of
of
the
time
claps.
on Lord of the Rings.
I
and-
didn't
would
make
like to
Astrobot.
nominate
I just played it.
Balatro.
Balatro,
Good
the champion
job.
of Balatro, has
You can
entered.
clap for that one. Everyone can clap for that one. No more clapping after that, though. We're done.
I would like to nominate Helldivers 2.
Nice.
Hey.
Jeff,
All right.
Get ready, Ben.
Can't help it.
Yes, I'm ready.
Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
I thought it'd be the Batman game.
yeah.
What is Zag?
Oh, now I remember Leo.
Lorelei.
Yeah.
A name that you get very good at spelling over the course of that game, right, Hel?
Yep.
You definitely learn how to
Okay.
spell that name.
Okay,
There you go.
love it.
UFO 50.
Yay.
Ooh,
I'm
interesting.
breaking my own rules now.
Interesting. By the way,
Infinity Nikki.
Infinity Nikki, that's what I was going to say. Congratulations.
Yes!
I wanted
Leo's
to
overcompensating because he was mean.
wanted to give a special shout out. We have Fields of Mystery as number 0 on this list since Sarah worked on it full time this year. Want to give tip of the cap because I think it is a game that a lot of us really enjoyed this year, but we
Yeah.
can't fairly criticize it here.
It was the 8th best reviewed game on Steam this year of games released
Wow.
this year.
Wow.
We should just put it as number 8. That's huge.
Upper crust.
I'm gonna put Final Fantasy VII Rebirth
Yay.
as number 8. Thanks. All right. Haley.
Single clap.
I'm gonna put Metaphor Refantasio.
Love it. All right, number
Silence.
10.
You just can't clap for that
And
one.
woohoo!
Yeah, clapping's a metaphor.
Except for Kelsey's woohoo.
Let's put the big boys next to each other. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth.
Wow, big boy corner.
The last 3 games are collectively 300 hours of gameplay.
Oh, Jesus.
And 800 characters. Their titles.
Oh my god. I'm going Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it The Lost Crown?
I hope so, because it's gonna hurt my argument if I don't know the name of the game.
I think it is.
so-
I think it is. Okay.
Yes, it is. Boom.
Great. Put it on
W
the
game.
wall.
I'll
There you
do Dragon's Dogma Part 2.
Yeah.
Nice. Interesting. How nice and interesting that is.
It's interesting and nice.
I'm gonna go Knutsugami Path of the Goddess.
Wow. I love
My
it. That is,
biggest regret that I missed this year is that
Boutique.
game.
it's okay. The goddess will wait for you, on the
didn't
other
get
side,
into the
Haley.
Patreon fast enough, Haley. It's okay.
That's true.
That was actually what I was going to do, Knutsugami, but I will pivot to Mini Shoot Adventure.
Now, do we honor the apostrophe? I feel like
gotta
it'll
honor
hurt
it.
it.
We gotta honor
Okay,
it.
it's the name of the game, I suppose.
You gotta own it. Yeah, you gotta own your bad titles in this list.
Indica.
In the couch. Ha ha ha.
Manor Lords.
Manor Lord. God, of course, Manor Lords. It's 2024, y'all. I'm gonna go Indiana Jones and the Greatest Circle of All.
Friendship.
Friendship.
Duke.
Yep.
I'm gonna go. Thank goodness you're here.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That's what we all say.
9 souls.
Okay.
Drop that E,
It's like us.
right? Right, Jacob? No E?
No, it is. It's souls is spelled weird. 9 is spelled
Yeah,
weird.
only half
the
of it's
9 is
spelled
correct. Okay.
incorrectly.
Apologies.
I'm going Animal Well.
All right.
Nice.
Okay.
You made that sound.
I guess it's a scary game.
Whoa.
Oh.
I just wrote down a bunch of Metroidvanias that came out and just started naming them.
Smart.
Yeah, I was going to do that one. I will do Rise of the Golden Idol.
Whoa. Number 21 at the moment. Love it. Okay.
Play that.
We already have more than 20.
Yeah.
We already
Not
have the
done
two
yet.
tens.
Keep this
This is-
going.
I'll go Star Trek Hand of Time.
Yes.
Of time. And there is a colon in that, right?
I
Yeah,
think
and
it's
I
also
should-
hands.
Hands
Is
of
it
time.
hands? Oh my gosh.
It's okay. It's okay. We're all safe here. Okay.
You're right. But why is it hands?
You only play as one hand.
There's only one hand.
Well,
So the untrained
you
eye.
yeah.
Yeah, you're the other hand. I don't know.
Your
Kylie?
hands on the controller.
Stellar Blade.
Whoa, I like it. It's only rock and roll, but god dang.
Let's do Pacific Drive.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, yeah.
Beep beep.
Okay. Mouth washing.
Mouth washing. There you are. There you are, old friend. I'm gonna put Tetris Forever.
Oh my god.
Can't keep putting Tetris on the list every year.
I do this every
But
year.
this is the Tetris Forever.
Ben, I'm gonna ruin your life. I
Yeah?
didn't get around to playing it.
Kelsey, no! You were my one chance!
The
You
evil
were
people.
my...
No, I'm just
Tetris
kidding. It's a
Forever
joke.
just got shot in the kneecap.
I know I'm
It's
gonna
called
love it.
Forever. I feel like
You were my straight
And it's
piece
okay.
that I was waiting
played
for.
it and I didn't like it that much.
Okay.
Me too.
It's on the list.
Trails are everywhere.
We're still celebrating. We're still celebrating. We're having a good time, right, guys?
Mario Party Jamboree.
All right, yeah.
The first Nintendo
I mean,
game on
yay.
this list.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
At 27.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
actually
28.
interesting.
Did Nintendo make
filtering it
Slitterhead.
out of the industry.
Slitterhead. I heard it creep out of the sewers and whisper its name into our ears.
Actually, it jumped from Jacob's head into your head, is what
Oh,
happened.
interesting.
Cryptmaster?
Crypt Master. Love it. Love
Is that
it.
the typing one?
Yeah.
What's the
Parentheses,
one?
the
What's the
typing
other
one.
crypt one?
Crypt Custodian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't be confused.
I'm going to say Peglin.
Peglin, of course,
Love
Peglin.
Peglin. You know what? I'll put Zelda Echoes of Wisdom.
There we go.
On here.
I don't know about that
deserves
tone.
At least in the top 31.
The enthusiasm it deserves.
Interesting. We'll talk about it. Okay, maybe this is like the last round of everybody adding stuff before we go to free for all and kind of explanation zone, I think. But Kyle?
Batman Arkham Shadow.
Nice.
And that's singular.
AKA Batman VR. I don't know. Does everyone knows what that is, right?
Well, it's nice to have
Now
a
I do,
reminder.
'cause you
Yeah.
told us.
Yep.
Doing the good fight.
Wild Bastards.
I was wondering when these guys were coming out to play.
A little sneaky.
I'll do it. I'll put Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree on here.
I'm surprised
Wow.
it
34.
took so long. Okay.
It's low because I'm at the end of the list. But anyways, 34.
That's all good. That's all good. Hang on. Are we missing? Should we go up until Jacob again? Is that the way that works? Yeah. So Haley and I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going until someone passes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have one more that I want to add. And
All right,
I'll
let's
skip
keep going.
I have a few more.
We're not. Yeah,
Well,
we're not
I have a
passing,
lot
it's
more,
just
but
to
when
start
are we starting
explaining,
to explain?
Yeah. How about we start explaining at this moment right here, right now? Astro Duel 2, I will put here at good old number 35. Things are flexible. This isn't locked in stone. Obviously, everything can still move around. This is the game that easy pitch is that it's Asteroids meets Samurai Gun, party game, local multiplayer. You're in ships, you go through little areas, and then you are a pilot, and you can fight and use your swords, get weapons and guns, and then when you jump out of the building, you turn back into the asteroid ship, and you can also fight out there. It's one of those games that's like, I have a tough time not celebrating this, that every time I played it, except for the Gift of the Max stream, every time I played it, it was just like with every group I played it with, it's just laughs and screams nonstop. And it's like, it's a little bit of that Jackbox thing of like, how do I not give it up to this game that I had so much fun in the room in every time I played this with different groups? And so Astro Duel 2 is one of my favorites.
You don't think it went well on Give to the Max?
I didn't. Maybe
Did
I was
anyone hate it?
I was self-conscious about it because Leo, I think you wanted to go back and play more UFO 50, and I don't know, it was a bunch of charity auctions or some nonsense like that, really ruining the mood.
There's a lot of distractions happening, but I enjoyed it. But yeah, it wasn't a revelation. It was like, yeah, that was fun.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll take that.
So maybe not the best environment, but
you bet.
It's cool.
Haley.
Oh, this is an unconventional one. I'm going to say Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket.
That's an interesting choice.
Okay.
Listen, when I first saw the trailer for this, I said, yuck. Corporates doing corporate stuff. They see, everyone buys the cards. Let's make them digital so we don't even have to spend money on paper. And these suckers will spend and spend and spend. I have not spent a penny. I didn't even do that little gold thing where it's free for 2 weeks because I didn't trust myself to turn it off. I didn't even do that. And I play this every single day, and I low-key have a ton of fun with it. And it's really just an excuse. Okay, the main thing why I love it is because I've wanted to get back into the card game. I used to play it all the time as a kid. But that requires you going out and spending actual human, like, hundreds of dollars to get at least, like, a basic deck of cards. And even then, you're not guaranteed to get a deck that's even that good to play with your friends, blah, blah, blah. And like also all your friends don't have Pokemon cards, so that's not fun either. But this just kind of eliminates that problem. And remember when they released that like play the 151 original card game thing like a few years ago? I want to say 2 years ago, and it was like this big pack. It was $400. It's like, so even if I want to like entry point into this, I have to spend $400. Cool. And this just like eliminates that whole problem, and it's satisfying as hell to open little packs, get a little serotonin boost, and you just like collect them all. I'm not close to being done the first pack, and actually I think today they're releasing like the new generation, so it's going to completely change the fighting, and they're adding all new EX cards and stuff like that. And yeah, my partner and I literally Pokemon battle every night before we fall asleep multiple times with like our different decks and stuff. And we wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't digital and we didn't have to spend money on physical packs. So it's doing exactly what it needs to do in that way. And it's been very fun to like reapproach the actual trading card game without spending that much money / any money.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I, for one, vote for Haley's relationship to go to the top of this list.
I like that
Sounds
game
good.
also. I think it's pretty good and easy to, like you mentioned, Haley. It's like, what if capitalism was good for a second? Is kind of the feeling of the game. But it generally, the animations are so fun.
It won't last.
And I like the integration with the social aspect is really fun too, where you can kind of like look at a bunch of randos and their packs, and then you can like, I think it's called Wonder Pick or something. Like randomly pick one of their cards, and then there's a bit of that like, ooh, I hope I get this one from their pack. Like it's a very solid version of what it's trying to do.
And there's like events they've been pushing the entire time. There was one where it's like, try to win 25 times just against random people. So like all the people were playing all at the same time, and they match you up with similar levels. So people who have around the same number of cards as you is who you fight. So it's not just like crazy guy who spent $800. Yeah, and has every good card. The rich sweats.
Through everybody.
They did another one where it was like, win 5 times in a row, and it literally took me 2 weeks to do just because someone would always have a better deck on win number 4. It drove me crazy. And then they have like non-social events too. So it's like right now there's a Venusaur event, so you can just like play the game against a bot and do it enough times that you get like really cool Venusaur looking cards for a couple weeks. And like there's just like stuff like that always happening too. They keep up with it.
Good tutorials too. Very clear I never knew how to really play the game, and I thought it did a good job teaching me.
Yeah.
Love it. Should we just keep going around till we're all out? Does that seem like the cleanest way? Or do you want to dogpile it? All right, sure. Jacob.
Earth Defense Force 6.
Wow. Somebody timestamped you on an old episode of the podcast, Jacob, when we were talking about games coming out in 2024, talking about this, and you're like, I have other Earth Defense Forces. Why would I ever need to play this game? And then it turns out you really did.
Yeah, 157 levels, and they're all fun.
Jeez. Were you playing single player too?
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it is surprisingly, what I like about it is it's simultaneously the dumbest game ever made, but also it's like surprisingly thinky, where at least if you're playing single player, it's like, it's pretty hard. The levels are not easy, and so you have to like, the loadout that you go in with really affects how you do. And so just thinking like, okay, this one's got like 1 million ants, so I'm going to bring my trademark machine gun rocket launcher. Or like, this thing has one guy whose arms are really long and they're made of like 50 segmented parts, so I'm going to bring in like a multi-lock missile launcher. It's just like, every level is kind of a puzzle of just like, which combination of things am I going to bring in to best deal with what happens. And then the end of the game is you fight an enemy the size of like Long Island. Like it's like the biggest thing I've ever seen in a game, and you just shoot rockets at it until it dies.
Yep, that's a good game. Awesome. Earth Defense Force 6, everybody.
Mine is Grun. I've talked about it on the show before. It is a, what's the easiest way to explain it? It is a time looping scavenger hunt style game. I just think its construction is really strong. I kind of struggle a lot with puzzle games, but I think environmental puzzles are a place that's a little bit more comfortable to me. And I think the scope of the game is really nice in that the environments are pretty small, but then they kind of open up a little bit through exploration. I think it's just a very easy to play, intriguing sort of one of those. I do think probably the biggest dig against it is that it's just a little bit more simplistic than other exploration games of that ilk, but I kind of feel like that's where the juice is. Like it's a fun, quick hit, enjoyable run through Grun, haha. And I think they do a lot of great support in having like a scavenger hunt system through there's these Polaroids you find in the game, and the Polaroids will have something like, okay, here's a picture of a plank that you need to fix the bridge, and you're like, cool, I know that there is a plank and it's by a car, but I don't know where exactly that is. And then you kind of go and look for it. There's other instances where the image is maybe just gesturing at, maybe an item you need to get, and you're like, oh, I remember seeing that earlier, and you're kind of rerunning through. And it has that excitement to it too, of finding shortcuts and kind of doing the ultimate run in it. And it's one I really enjoyed my time with, so it's high on my personal list, Grun.
Heck yeah, love it.
Nice. All mine from here on out are roguelike games, so I apologize in advance. But I gotta go with Diceomancer first. I've talked about this a couple times. It is a super complex, not beginner-friendly deck-building roguelike game for people that really like that classic like Slay the Spire formula, but it's goofy. It's got just a ridiculous amount of depth in terms of the mechanisms. The different classes play really differently, and then you have the one dice power where you can basically just break the game by changing any number anywhere on the screen as you're playing. And it's just, I'm like, that is a fun gimmick that they have just continued to come up with new and interesting ways to play on that and to kind of counter that. And I've just been blown away by it. And
you said it's Slay the Spire if it wasn't designed for stupid fat babies, I think is the way you put it on the last episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just put my name right on that quote.
Wow. All right.
I endorse it.
Diceomancer. I thought it was going to be higher, Jeff. I thought you were going to come in and try to get this thing locked down.
It's like number 3 on my list. I think it's going to be, but I know like I have a lot of roguelikes on my list that I can say like, hey, anybody can play this, even if you don't like roguelikes or deck building games. And this is one that you just probably would not.
But I mean, it's not the recommendation list. It's measuring our passion. I'm not ruling it out.
I might
yet.
fight for it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I'm going to go with Visions of Mana. This was a fairly JRPG light year for me. I think I only played like 4 or 5, 6, something like that. But still, it's not...
Only.
Come on, quit bragging.
I didn't finish all of them, though.
A quick half dozen just kind of dip it into the bucket.
I didn't finish very many JRPGs this year. But this is... I mean, this had very big shoes to fill. The Mana series hasn't had like a true successor since, I believe, the PS1 era. So it's been, just remakes and spin-offs since then. And I think they did a really good job with this, mostly with getting a sort of like good combat system, action combat system, and class system up to sort of just the modern era. It translates really well. The pacing of the game kind of falls off after the second half, which is why it's not higher on my list. But the game itself, I mean, it stays fun the entire time just because like running and jumping and slashing around the world the whole time stays fun. I mean, literally, like when you do a double jump, you can do like a little roll on the ground back into a jump. And so you can just running across the field while like rolling when you hit the ground is just in and of itself is very delightful and fun. So good JRPG if you just want a good action-packed time that's not too serious, not too deep. Totally deserves more love than it got this year, I think. I think everyone kind of, I don't know, if you're not a Mana fan, they wrote it off at the name, but it's like, no, it's actually like a really solid action RPG. Check it out. The Silent Hill 2 remake. Just a fantastic... sort of reimagining, I think is fair to say, of the original game, which was already fantastic, and I was just enthralled through the course of the whole entire game, and I was eager to see it to the end, and it was still like completely effective and just making me uncomfortable, and in a way that was really fascinating and interesting. I really liked Silent Hill 2 a lot this year. Sarah and Haley playing it for the first time, you're like 3/4 of the way through it or whatever. Are you digging it?
You go first, Sarah.
I think that I definitely prefer
Webster's dictionary defines.
Yeah, how to define like
digging.
No, I think I definitely prefer like mouthwashing over Silent Hill 2. I just don't think that style of horror game is as effective on me as much because like I feel like growing up with things like Outlast and like a lot more modern horror games getting thrown back into that maybe older style, it wasn't as effective. I also find like the enemies were very limited and the general gameplay I found a little lacking. It was a lot of like unlock the door, find the key, unlock the door. And I think after a few times I was like, okay, we got to shake this up a little bit. In defense of this game that I haven't played, it does seem like the Silent Hill 2 fanatics, like they're like, okay, the ending is when the story kind of coalesces, and so it's one of those things of like, maybe if you and Haley finished it, it'd be a different tune, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe the story is
also a different
land.
experience of like, quite literally the way I play it, which was by myself in a dark room. Like it is a very sort of introspective game that is I like there are moments in it of especially like when you're just like climbing deeper and deeper underground that I just find more unsettling than any horror game of like the last 15 years or something like that. Like really no horror game affects me the way Silent Hill 2 does. And they like translated that to like a contemporary sort of platform, like a contemporary video game for me. And there is nostalgia there certainly, but I love that game. When you do New Game Plus, you get a chainsaw within like the first 5 minutes, which is pretty exciting.
That's pretty It's interesting how people's brains are wired so different when they approach horror, because I would have never played this if I didn't play it with Sarah. Because the fun of it is the fact that I'm yapping with Sarah the whole time while this game's happening at us, and I would have never played it.
Yeah, and that sounds like totally antithetical to everything.
Yeah, that's interesting. And we've gotten comments that also don't love that either. But listen, that's how
I would never say you play it how you want to play it. You play it how it's fun. But,
I know exactly. But the one thing I do really like about it is like atmosphere goes crazy in that game. It's the exact feeling of when you're taking your dog out for a pee and you hear something and you're like, who's there? Like it's like that, but all the time. And that's like a crazy thing to nail on the head, but they do it very good.
That's awesome. Sarah, you're fascinating on like 1,000 different levels, but I just love the idea that you play so many horror games, but you won't go near like a real life haunted house. It's like you're just kind of numb.
Because that's real.
That's real life.
No, it's
real
really
there.
I would much rather go through a real life horror
If you
house.
die in the haunted house, you die in real life.
Yeah, I guess that's
I will
true.
say, I feel like my threshold for scariness, I feel like in video games is so much. Like I can endure a lot in video games, but yeah, when it comes to like real life, like don't even put me in like your church haunted house. I will cry.
I'm the same way.
Where are we at? We're
I
on.
can't even do the game, so
Leo.
I'm with
better
you.
than me.
Leo.
Yeah.
Little
The
Leo.
finals.
The finals. Now
It was out for 12 days at last Game of the Year recording, at which point I thought this is a really great shooter and I really like it. And in the year since, I've played 400 hours and it's become one of my favorite games ever. So I'd love to talk about it again.
So this is one of those. It's at number 42 on the list, but who are we kidding? This thing is. It's got a rocket strapped to
The
it.
finals will return.
We normally have like few enough people interested in games where it's like the last 5 naturally become single passion projects, but I feel like we're gonna have 20 things that multiple people like easily.
I know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. Sarah?
Oh yeah, so mine is Crow Country.
Yeah.
It's sort of like an old PlayStation style horror game. It reminds me a lot of like Resident Evil. And this game is just like, it's such a little gem because stylistically it's incredible. Like across the board, the environments are so nicely done. The puzzles I thought were really interesting. Like it actually had real puzzles of like, putting pieces together, looking at the environment, interacting with the environment. That I thought was really great. And then the fact that it also managed to put a story together in like this game that's like developed by one person, like it really had it all. And the pacing, I will say, was like immaculate. Like I feel like pacing is really big for me in modern games. And this game, like you could just go, right? And like the story got better, the environments got cooler, and like just a perfect under 10-hour game.
Yep. Totally. I played.
That was going to be my next one if I came around again. So I'm glad you brought it. It's funny to get Fear the Spotlight, Silent Hill 2, and Crow Country this year, and they're all solid in different ways. I really had a great time with Crow Country.
Yeah, it's just a tight little puzzle box of that old Resident Evil experience with like, the artists were inspired by Final Fantasy VII, like having the polygons of a Final Fantasy VII character in the environments of Resident Evil. It's a really cool combo. And like starting it out, I don't know if you had the same experience, Sarah, but I was like, okay, this kind of chibi-ish art style. I'm happy to play through this little classic experience here, throwback survival horror, but it's like the enemies, how scary could they be with this art style? But like, oh no, there's some good messed up enemy design for that retro style, even where it's like, oh, they've really done it. And like they are trying so hard to smooth out all of the rough edges of that old Resident Evil design. Like they are trying so hard to push you to the right direction. They have signs everywhere that you can go read with little reminders. Like it's an interesting.
They have a little hint crow.
Yep. You can like deposit and you have a limited amount of them, but yeah, it's really smart. And like just on the smart little things too, I thought this was a cool idea. I don't know about best thing cool idea, but like I love that it's like analog controls, got it. But if you use the D-pad, you're automatically tank controls. It's like it's cool just to have both and not have to choose like in the menu like some Resident Evil throwback thing. But definitely a cool game there, Crow Country. Oh, and then it's me. I'm going to go with a game called World of Goo 2, everybody. Let's throw World of...
the goo.
Bring the goo. It's out, everybody. It has been decades and decades since that initial game released. And so World of Goo 2 to finally come out, be adding new mechanics, but also just a flood of nostalgia for that game. Like the music, I think, is absolutely incredible. It's like, God, just this singular indie experience from back in 2008, just to have that alive and well in HD. And then for them to take some bigger swings that we talked about without spoiling anything here. And we're talking about best moments of the year of where they go with World of Goo 2. It's definitely commendable. And being stuck on the Epic Game Store, I feel like it's getting overshadowed in a big way this year. But it's a cool follow-up, definitely.
Right.
Mine is Ete, which is that really relaxing painting style game. It came out in the summer. I just checked on Steam. It only has like 100 reviews on Steam, which I think is criminally low for how good that game is. It's essentially like you're this artist who moves to Montreal and the whole world is like pure white. So like when you walk into a level, you don't even have the spatial awareness to like bump into things because there's no shadows, it's just white. But then as you paint things, it comes to life. And then when you paint something fully, it becomes a stamp. And then when you go to your easel, you can make paintings with the stamps and sell them in the local coffee shop. And that, they always buy them. No one's like, this one's not that good. Like they're going to go $20 and there's no mechanics there really. But it's just so satisfying to like get all the stamps unlocked and then you decorate your apartment. And like the apartment is shaped in a way that's like, this is one of my favorite things about it, but it's not a well-shaped apartment, which is like everyone's lived in one of those where you walk in, you're like, where does my bed go? It's like, there's not a dedicated bed place. It's like, I think I could squeeze it over in this weird corner and you like decorate it that way. It very much gives like early 20s apartment, which was very fun to redecorate again. And there was so many times where I'm like, I just got all these pieces. I could probably make a cool picture like this. And there was one night where I drank like 7 ciders and then I just remade Van Gogh's The Bedroom as a painting and it looked pretty freaking close. And I was like, this game rocks. I don't know, something about it. I was just like, this is awesome.
And then in the sober light of day, you regretted what you had done.
No, literally same joke, Ben. Like, when you woke up, did it still look like Van Gogh's painting?
Yeah, it still looked like Van Gogh's The Bedroom.
Hell yeah.
Van Gogh was just drunk all the time.
Not only did I finish that game, I went and painted every single thing I could ever find. Like I was even jumping to like get things that clearly didn't need to be painted, but I was being a perfectionist about it just because I found it so rewarding to just spit paint out everywhere. One of the most relaxing games I've ever played.
Yeah,
awesome.
There are a bunch of games where it's like, okay, you're going to sell whatever you make, like House Flipper and those kind of things. And it's like, they can never figure out a way to like actually quantify the quality of what you're making. But the controls in that one are so good that like I was taking a lot of time making paintings just to try and actually make them look cool. And I like felt a certain amount of pride when I would like go around, you like fill out your gallery with your own pictures. And it's like, this looks actually pretty cool. They did a good job. I like that the stamps, unlike stamps in most games, like the stamps were just 3D models. So you could still rotate them around and resize them and stuff. And you could make a lot of really cool looking stuff with that.
Yeah, and there was like really fun missions. There'll be like one guy, because it's Canada, was like, I want a new poster to show off that we sell weed. Like, make me a poster. So you have to like go color in like a weed plant so that you have that to make the thing. And then like I just did this like crazy sign. It's like weed over here essentially. And then once you give him that painting, he puts it up in the store. So like every time you're running down the street, you're like, there's the weed thing I made. That's fun. They'll just like put them up places. And at the very end, you make your whole big gallery. So it's like your big show. And I had like sections of my gallery. It's like, this is the feminism area. It's like, oh, there's all the pieces about feminine. And I was like pretending like to walk through it, be like, this was my dark area. Okay, so this is when I was really upset. There's the one Van Gogh painting, I guess, in the back that I did.
The drunk Van Gogh era.
The drunk Van Gogh era.
We all go through it.
Yeah. I also played a bit of that. It's pretty cool. I feel like it's Unfinished Swan if it was like more welcoming. Unfinished Swan is like literally black and white, so it does have a bit more darkness to it. This was a cool one. I think with what y'all said about the stamps, I do like that as well, like the 3D rotation. It reminds me of the making the notebook in Season, which is kind of the only part that I liked about Season was that freedom and that creativity of doing that and making that focal point in the game was really cool.
Yeah.
I am your beast.
Oh, lower than I thought at the moment.
But this is the strange scaffold first-person speed-running shooter game where it really plays a lot like almost like a 3D Hotline Miami level or something, where you are going incredibly quickly, you're restarting constantly, you're just kind of like getting these levels down to a science of like okay, if I throw this weapon at this guy, then I can jump and land on this other guy's head and throw a bear trap at the third guy. And if I practice that enough, I can do it all in like 0.6 seconds. And then I can like, you know, get to the finish line and still get an S rank. And it's just like that part is exceptionally well done. It is so fun to just play levels over and over and over, which is a hard thing to like, you know, incentivize. Just like, you're going to do the same thing a million times and you're going to love it. And then stitching it all together is the now kind of iconic Strange Scaffold like story that is way better than it needs to be. Specifically, Xavier Nelson Jr. Once again lending his really, really impressive voiceover skills to the main character, kind of doing this guy being hunted who is like understated in ways that you would not expect, and, you know, also cold and sympathetic, and eventually other characters come in. But it's just like, last year I really liked the style of El Paso Elsewhere, and I did not like how it felt to play it. And this is bringing those two things together, where now it's really fun to play, and I really like the style of it.
And what'd you think of their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles announcement?
Neat.
Cool.
He also just announced, Xavier Nelson Jr. just announced that he was a writer on Borderlands 4, which is absolutely the most interested I've been in that game.
There's a lot of contract writers sort of raising their hand for that game.
I was seeing that.
That's cool that they let him do it. I guess it's an easy marketing push, right? All right, I'm Your Beast, sitting down there. Love it. Janet?
Next up, I got Arco. I got to this late. I did finally play Arco.
Nice.
Not finished with it yet, but it's funny because it's like the game that all year everyone's like, we gotta get more people playing Arco, and I was like, oh, they weren't talking to me. You know, I was like, I'm part of the problem. But yeah, it's really fun. It is turn-based, but not. Well, I guess is it turn-based? It's like real time, but not grid-based. It's very free-form, like the combat. One thing that had concerned me going into it was that a lot of people described it as kind of bullet helly, and I'm bad at that.
Yeah.
It's not bullet hell. There's just a couple bullets on screen moving slowly towards you. Like, there can be a lot of bullets that appear, but you have a lot more time to maneuver, think, retry. It's definitely
bullet
like
purgatory.
Yeah,
Right,
it's like they're kind of filtering in and out, you know. But the thing that I really like about it, even more than the combat, which seems cool and has a very free-form progression system where you can kind of pick up extra slots and slot different abilities and really experiment with stuff. What I'm really into is the narrative, but particularly the construction of the narrative. It feels very much like Oregon Trail, but if it was also more free-form, and that is super cool. Like being able to pick up, you know, a necklace and be like, I mean, it says it gives me luck, but also like, is this going to be someone's necklace later and I'm going to regret it? You know, or like being able to investigate something and then it turns out to trap and now you're down by like 2, or being able to eat like mysterious berries and like the health is just a question mark. And I'm like, well, I'm going to roll the dice and see what happens.
It's a lot. And also then on top of that, like all those decisions you make, then things are filtered through and you have guilt as entities floating towards you in combat based on the decisions you've made so far. And that's the timer for you to have to make your next move before that guilt ghost touches you. But yeah, I'm with you, Janet, where I think Arco's cool as hell and I feel bad for not finishing it.
Yeah, and then I guess the last thing I'll say on it, which maybe we talk about it more. Who knows? You know, I don't know where it's going to land on the greater list, but plot-wise too, it's very much like a colonization story, and you play as this person whose family has like been obliterated, and you're kind of going to different places and seeing these sort of, not results, because that sounds really like weirdly mathematical, but just like how colonization has affected different communities, and you're interacting with them, and you're like a little bit mean because you're jaded, but you're like not completely like a jerk, which is nice. But yeah, it's really fun just like exploring the map and seeing what happens. And sometimes they like make it so that if you go down a path, you can't re-go back. So there are a lot of like fun decisions. And for a game that on its face, I think looks a little bit more maybe simplistic, like there's just a lot to do within it that I think is really cool. So yeah, really enjoying that one. It's on my list.
Heck yeah.
One of my biggest regrets is that I played this one the day after the last podcast that we did, and we didn't officially get to talk about it. But this one is called Ballionaire, and it's basically it's like Balatro, but pachinko is where we've landed finally. Little Peglin vibes, but whereas in Peglin you are upgrading your balls that you're using, in this one you have a cash amount that you have to hit, after every like 5 turns or whatever, and like those function as the blinds in Balatro. But then after every ball you drop, it bounces down all the little pegs. You get money from it. And then after every ball that you drop, you get what they call a trigger, which is basically takes the place of a peg or goes in between the pegs. And each of those is what has really weird combo rific, like special abilities and stuff that it will do. So it might be something simple like, like a pinball bumper that will hit the ball in a different direction and give you $200. But then they like keep building up and up to like multi-balls, and you can like, some will collect balls and turn them into different elements, and then those elements will trigger other things. And it just like, I should be so sick of this formula of like Balatro likes, but in a different genre and stuff. But this one still did it for me, and yeah, it's very good.
Ballionaire.
This is another one of those where like, even if you don't like roguelikes or deck building type games, like if you like watching balls bounce down in a pachinko or Peggle style board, check this one out because it's pretty fun.
There we go.
The art style.
They gotta stop making games like this because I like all of them.
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. Make games we don't like for once, you cowards.
I want to play things that aren't just more fun little roguelikes with a slight gambling twist.
You got more you want to throw on your cousin?
Anyways, I'm going to throw on Until Then, which I finished kind of recently.
Nice.
But it's a 2D. You could probably call it a visual novel, but it's probably somewhere in between an adventure game and a visual novel. You are, doing actual things on the screen. There's some mini games and stuff, including a fairly decent rhythm game in there. But it is a game that the developers say is mostly like a mystery about a catastrophe that happens to the world. But that is almost like the dressing, like the set dressing of the game, and the actual story is about navigating like feelings of guilt and loss, and just this beautifully written slice of life story from a bunch of teenagers in the Philippines, just kind of like navigating all of the really crazy things that happen in their lives, and like things that can be happening right under your nose without you even knowing, like, within your friendships and the guilt that comes along with that stuff. So it's a really moving game. It takes 3 playthroughs to get to the final ending, so it's a little longer than I thought it was going to be, but it's a very, very good story.
Right on. Until Then.
I'm ready to sort of bring up our first pass. I've gotten everything that I want to talk about. Honestly.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Shogun Showdown.
Yes.
Which is a roguelike, an indie roguelike.
One I don't have to do. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know. Did anybody else get to it besides me and Jeffa?
Sorry.
It's sitting on my deck.
We had plans.
The
We had
guilt
plans.
ghost is heading for me.
It's one of those things that like any other year I feel like it would have had a great shot, but I don't know anymore. But here's what it is. It's like Into the Breach in that it is perfect. You know everything that's going to happen. You know everything you can do. You're planning 5 turns ahead, and really satisfying payoffs like that. I think the biggest way it stands out is 1, you move left and right with the triggers. Left trigger and right trigger hops you 1 square to the left or 1 square to the right, which feels so strange until you do it for 5 seconds, and then it's completely intuitive, which I always have so much respect for a completely new control scheme that just feels like the best way to play it. I think that game's really well designed that way. I also think it stands out among other roguelikes in that it is less random for the builds you can craft. Sometimes I get irritated when I feel like it's complete randomness. Maybe I get the most amazing things. Maybe I try to do this build that I'm just not getting the pieces to complete. But in this, you can pretty much pick any move. Like this move hits 3 squares ahead of me, and if it gets that hit, then I hit the guy behind me too. You pick that move and you just buff it up for like 8 upgrades, and you have this run that's built around doing this move and setting yourself up to do this move, putting you in the right position to do it, putting the enemies in the right position to do it. It's really satisfying to kind of be able to make a plan and stick to it and not feel like your knees are being swept out from under you by random chance.
Heck yeah. Shogun Showdown, everybody.
One of the only roguelikes where I feel like like you could get through every encounter without taking damage if you could just like think far enough ahead. There's like such little randomness because you know so much. Like you just have to plan it out, and then something always ends up surprising you, and it's like, oh, I didn't see that. And it's going to happen 3 turns from now. But like if I had realized it 2 turns before, then I would have been able to deal with it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
there always is a perfect way to have played it. You never got boned by something you couldn't plan for.
Sarah, what are we planning for at number 51?
Yeah, so the one that's been like living in my head rent free this year is like Arctic Eggs.
Heck yeah.
It's just, I love games that I could never possibly conceive of on my own. And Arctic Eggs is you're in this like weird post-apocalyptic, once again looks a little PlayStation, like PS1 era graphics. And your goal is they give you a pan. And it's like specifically a Tefal pan, which I think is really funny. Like it looks like it's a branded pan. And you have to cook eggs for like a certain amount of people in every single zone to get through. And then they'll throw different gameplay mechanics at you, like they'll put bullets in your pan and the bullets explode and your eggs will go everywhere. Or they'll put like a beer bottle on your pan and your job is to flip it and get the eggs perfectly cooked on both sides while also not throwing them out of the pan. And like, it's such a simple mechanic that you're like, why has nobody done this before? But just in the environment that it's in, there's this part where you're like flipping the eggs and this like giant space whale comes up and you have to flip the eggs into like the space whale's mouth. The characters are saying the most like random out of pocket stuff I've ever seen. It's one of those games that's gonna stick with me for 100%.
Love it.
I'm picturing this on the Playdate for some reason. Like, wouldn't that be a good Playdate game?
Yes, actually. I found this... I thought this game was extremely funny, and maybe it's just because I was playing it on Steam Deck. Sarah, this game was impossiply hard for me.
It's a lot easier with a mouse.
Yeah,
I don't know how you do with a controller.
Okay. Yeah, I love this one. It feels almost like a getting over it kind of thing, where like when you start, you're like, how could I get good at this? And then by the end, it's like you are really like at the ending challenge. I don't think it's a spoiler. It's just like they just drop like 7 eggs in your pan, and it's like do all of these, and you can by the end, like you develop such fine motor control over your pan that you can like get one to the edge and flip it and leave other ones on the other side. And then yeah, the characters are really incredible, where there's like a woman dancing and she's just like, I hate daylight saving time. Why are decisions in my life being made by farmers? And it's just like someone like at the end of the world, like going like this and saying that. It's an awesome game.
Love it. It seems like a good spot for Neva. The game from the creators of Grease that came out earlier, where it's very Miyazaki inspired, but you have a little white dog creature, and as you progress through the game, it goes through the seasons, and the dog gets bigger and gains new abilities. And imagine kind of the amazing art of Grease, but now with more compelling buddy gameplay and solid, tight combat. You got some air dashes going on there. It feels good to control. Not the most ambitious thing you've ever seen in your life, but just a really cool, incredibly gorgeous game. And, you know, I want to give it up to...
It's pretty ambitious.
Yeah,
it's like the best looking game I've ever seen.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. That is ambitious. But then also just, I think it has some really clever gameplay as it evolves too. Clever little like platforming puzzles, stuff like that. Or like there's this one section, light spoilers for Neva, everybody. But this one section where like you're fighting enemies that you can't see, but there's kind of like a reflective ice that's taking up part of the screen, so you can see the enemies in there. So it's a really cool dynamic. It's like I can see exactly where everybody is, but to do it, I have to look in the reflection, which reverses the controls. So you can try and intuit where they are on the map without seeing them, or you can try and wrap your brain around in real time, reverse controls, and fight them that way. But I'd never seen that dynamic in a game before. But it's really cool. Neva.
Yeah, it's as someone who did not like Grease, I was really into Neva, which I didn't expect.
I played Neva on a plane, and the dude beside me who was playing like a game, like a crossword puzzle on his phone, was like, staring at my screen with his mouth open.
That's like the best compliment for a game. Like
I know.
Other people want to watch me play it on the plane.
I don't know if he thought I was watching a movie and just happened to be moving my thumbs because I was bored or something. Because he was like, just staring at my
inching
screen.
closer and closer to Neva. This is an invasion.
My next one is Planet Coaster 2. I love simulation games. I love like park building, world building, little things. And essentially it's like, this doesn't really look that different from the original Planet Coaster at first glance. It just kind of looks like, why didn't they just update Planet Coaster 1? But they did add a bunch more stuff. The biggest thing is you can make water parks now. So you can have like duo theme park, water park combos, all that kind of stuff. There's new themes. They did a lot of quality. This is coming from someone who played a crap ton of Planet Coaster 1. It's so much better to play Planet Coaster 2. Like, the pathing's easier. They have like this tool so that you just draw trees instead of individually placing trees, which saves 8,000 hours of time because like you're gonna put trees down, otherwise it doesn't look complete. And now you can just go click, 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 and a bunch of trees auto. You can choose like what area of the world you're in. It'll pick those types of trees, but mix them up so it looks natural and stuff like that. Oh, that's so much better. And there's just so much more you can do with like building things, and you can attach stuff to the rides now. So I made a ride where the track thing was like a bird, and I just attached all these pieces to it till it looked like the roller coaster part was a bird, and that took me like an hour and a half, and I was like, yeah, and then I just...
That sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, it's like a real good time-burning game.
It with me?
What's that? Oh yeah,
you didn't share it with me? I want to see the bird coaster.
I can add it to the Frontier Workshop, so you can make it in your park, Kelsey.
Oh my god.
Wow.
They have like a built-in system, which is also really nice. You don't have to go externally to like Nexus mods or something to download. Here's my really good, roller coaster build that's all decorated. I can just go on there, and I usually browse like most liked or most downloaded, and it's just all this awesome stuff that you can just plunk into your own park. So even if like I want to have a Viking theme park, you can just look up like Viking buildings, and already 100 people have already made very intricate, good looking Viking buildings. So instead of starting from scratch, I can just pull all those and arrange them how I want in my park. So it feels like I'm doing the work, even though I probably cut off 80% of the actual effort. So it's fun in that way too. It's just Planet Coaster 1, but better.
Awesome. All right, we're in rapid fire zone, everybody. Rapid fire honorable mention. Who wants to lob some out there?
Still Wakes the Deep.
Yeah.
Horror game by the Chinese Room that is incredibly Scottish, as we talked about in our previous episode, in a really lovely, faithful way. But it's also like just like a good kind of emotional horror game story. Like it really, you feel like you know the characters and you want the main guy to survive, and it places itself within like the Scottish politics of the time in a really interesting way. It's just like, it's a hide in a closet when you see a monster game, but it's like, it has a perspective that most of those games do not.
Yeah. All right, rapid fire. We don't have to go in the order. If anybody's got one,
so we're not in order.
Lob it out.
Keep going in order if we can.
Yeah, can we just keep going in order? Just
okay, and then we skip Kyle. Sure.
Order, but faster. Rusty's Retirement. It's an idle game. The pixel art's really incredible. If you're looking for a cool productivity thing, I think this is one of the stronger ones. Just really nice art design, and you can make little sort of farms and flowers and things. Very cool.
Love it.
Cute.
Metal Slug Tactics.
Oh, there you
Tactics
are.
roguelike game. Great art style, which it takes directly from Metal Slug Tactics, but then it actually like really builds the tactical combat around forcing you to like run and gun and like really stick your neck out as you're moving around the environments, which feels different from the typical XCOM type of game.
I was really impressed by it. I played a little bit of it, and
awesome.
thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. Unicorn Overlord. I don't know if I'll ever finish it, but boy, is that a pretty tactics game with like 10,000 different class types and different ways. Like I think someone who really likes deck builders would like it, actually. If you're someone who likes to get into the nitty gritty of strategy like that. Beautiful game, pretty long, gets pretty hard, but super pretty and super cool.
On the high speed shout out tier, right?
Yes.
Of like, I wasn't really gonna like talk about it a lot or fight for it. I had a great time with Star Wars Outlaws. Astrobot totally took all the wind out of my sails, but I liked what I played of Outlaws, and I do want to get back to it.
There you go. Love it. Speeding by.
Echo Point Nova, it's a movement shooter, triple jumping, zip lining around, shooting guys in slow motion. It's the game that every game in that genre wishes it was. It's the pinnacle of that type of game, and here it sits at number 59.
Wow.
59.
Wow. Mine is Deadlock, the Overwatch meets League of Legends game from Valve this year.
Ooh, interesting.
I would put this higher if I was good at it, but I am unfortunately trash. But it made my League of Legends brainworms really happy.
That's fascinating to have a Valve game come in there, but yeah, who knows where they go with that thing in the future?
I
But that's
had a
so
lot
cool.
of fun with it. It's got a best of both worlds, I feel like, for League of Legends and Overwatch.
Yeah. The Plucky Squire. Speaking of games that look gorgeous, we were all wowed by the art style, and then the gameplay was like, pretty simple puzzles, but still, that art is unbelievable. Of popping from 2D to 3D, going from 2D kind of Zelda game to 3D platformers or navigating this space. I think it deserves much more love than it's getting this year. I think it's a super cool little kid-friendly game with amazing art.
Is this a safe space?
I just said Deadlock, so
I know what
honestly,
it is.
anything goes at this point.
Easy.
What do you think it is when I say that, Kelsey?
Concord.
I think it's Call of Duty.
I said
right?
Deadlock. You can
Black Ops
say Concord.
It's not Concord. It's Black
Call of
Ops
Duty.
6.
Yeah, beautiful.
We welcome you. We welcome you, Black Opsy.
Thank you.
Movement system.
Omni movement
That's for
system.
your.
Omni
Sarah's got her
system.
League of Legends brainworms. You got your Call of Duty
Yeah, I
brainworms.
got my
I truly have Call of Duty brainworms. I can't get rid of them.
But you don't need to be so sheepish. Like, if it's a game you played a lot of this year and had a blast playing, like, why so sheepish?
For
Why
sure.
so sheepish?
Well, I only did half the campaign, so it's really I'm just talking about the multiplayer, really, which also kind of feels like a weird, watered down take on Black Ops 6. But
Sure.
I played a crap ton of
The
it.
vast majority
far
of
down.
players play it.
Yeah.
That's true.
This is number 62 on the list, Haley. I think it's okay.
I will not be fighting for it to move any higher.
Hey,
I
It would have
recognize
been
that.
okay at number 1 if you were really excited about it, Haley.
Well, let's not get wild here, Kyle.
Hellblade 2:
Whoa.
Senua's Saga.
The saga comes out to play.
With distance, I like this game significantly less than when I originally played it. I think that it just can't find a story that's worth telling after Hellblade 1, but like it is still visually like one of the most staggering achievements I've seen in games, and like Melina Jurgens, or Melinda Jurgens as Harrison Ford says, does an incredible job. You know, it's
Yep.
she nails it even if the story isn't there for her to really take advantage of.
I got Duck Detective. It's Case of the Golden Idol, but
Yeah.
if you want something easier, which means you talk to people, you get words, you use those to kind of Mad Libs answers to progress through the game. Very fun, very cute, nice Paper Mario art style of the cutouts kind of
It's
moving
fully
along.
voiced. The characters
Yeah.
are great. The writing's great. Short experience. Definitely check it out.
Awesome.
Dice Folk, which is the roguelike Pokemon kind of game where you're also rolling a bunch of dice and you're programming not only your moves but also your opponent's moves. And so you're just trying to figure out how to mitigate what they've rolled, and do your best kind of combos to take them down. And then you're gaining new Pokemon and also leveling up your monsters. And it's really great. Great outside.
I got to this last night, and it's great.
See?
There you go.
Thank you, Kelsey.
For all you guys out there, the best part of this, there's shiny Dice Folk, and you can guarantee getting shiny Dice Folk.
Ooh.
I like
If
that.
that's
I like
that's
that
moving
crap.
the needle for you,
It
they get shiny. Let's put Sonic X Shadow Generation.
Wow.
Ben said it
Good
wouldn't be in the
time.
210s.
What a fool I was today.
got a
It's
long
in the
climb, but
710s.
it's good. Like, there just hasn't been a solid Sonic game in a while, maybe since Sonic Generations, or Sonic Mania, I guess, although that's kind of a different flavor. But it's a pretty good Sonic game if you just miss playing a regular old. It does both like the 2D levels and the sort of like Sonic Adventure style levels, and it does them pretty well.
Does Shadow have a gun in this one? That's a genuine question. I'm not being facetious.
I haven't beaten it. He definitely has
might
like
get one later.
He definitely has like things he shoots, and I'm trying to remember if I feel like there's like a cutscene of him with a gun or something. I have not been in a level where I've been holding a gun and shooting
Okay, that's gonna ding it.
Noted.
That's gonna ding it. Okay.
I
But he
just love
shoots
that
like
Sega's
stuff out of
like,
his hands.
Yeah.
it's just such a weird take for Sega to be like, Shadow gets a gun, no one else. And then just like have followed through with that.
Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Oh
Cozy
gosh.
dungeon
yeah.
crawler, 18 hours of a great time. It's really accessible Persona, I would say, with simple dungeon combats, simple Zelda puzzles, social links that are like 3 levels where every upgrade is meaningful. It's just a really easy, fun thing to go through.
Cool.
And pretty.
Love it.
Good puzzles too.
Yeah.
Mine is Tiny Glade, the little tiny castle building game. This game is so incredible by how intuitive it is. You don't have a lot of tools, but the game will just like, for example, if you want like bigger windows, you take 2 single windows. If you put them next to each other, they'll morph into a larger window, right? Same for like doors and stuff. So it's just a very like technological achievement of a cute, cozy game. And it's got little sheep, which are really cute. And it's just very casual, very cozy.
Love it.
I love that the more details you add, the more details it adds for you too.
Yeah.
Like if you add the windows underneath, it'll put flower pots. Like the more effort you
Like a
put in,
clothesline.
it adds it itself too. Yeah.
Hey guys, is this a safe space?
Yeah.
It was for Haley, but not
It was
for you.
for me.
Okay,
I felt very safe.
Janet, emotionally, I'm gripping your arm and we're jumping off this cliff together. Lego Horizon Adventures,
Lego
everybody.
Horizon Adventures, yeah.
Yeah. Look, not
Yeah.
every game that you enjoy needs to be a great game. You know what I mean? But I enjoyed my
Sonic
time.
Yeah.
Which I
Shadow
think
on
we've
there.
learned here from this list.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you.
Can we like put the not every game you enjoy needs to be a great game, and then all these games below it? Like that's the cutoff point.
I mean,
That's a great category,
There might be some that sneak
a
in.
little bit of that line for some of these. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
that's true.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun if you.
It's a fun, simple
but you're
damn
a Horizon
time.
fan, and you still enjoyed it. So
Yeah, I enjoyed that
it
first
is
game.
possible.
You can
You
do
just
it,
like
everybody.
Lego.
Yeah, Lego. I like. Yeah.
Is that all it is? You just like Lego?
I like good, simple games sometimes, and the way the Lego games used to be. Just let me run through in this simple action RPG and build up a town. Easy gaming.
It's a hot dog cart you can put down. It explodes a bunch of stuff. It's like,
That's
you know
right.
what? This is what I needed right now.
Tirsa,
I like a game
the
that you
old
can be
lady.
kind of drunk and still finish it.
That's a better way to put it. That's
That's the best way,
exactly
isn't it?
what this game is made for. Yes. Haley?
Pal World.
Wow.
I had fun with Power World.
I did too. I did too.
I built my
Nintendo's
base
knocking
like
on
crazy.
your door right now, Haley.
Try me,
Get out.
Nintendo.
Come
Try
on,
me.
hands up.
I found this place on the side of a cliff where I built my base, and I put hours into making that place operate like a great little, horrifying camp, I suppose, at the end of the day, because they're not of their own free will. But that game was fun, and story was absolutely nothing. But that's not what that game's for. It's just for running around and shooting little animals and then taking them back and building things.
It's perfect.
It was just a weird game to play, but that made it memorable, I guess.
Heck yeah. All right, even faster round. Here we go.
Children of the Sun. The sniper puzzle game, incredibly cool looking style. You've never seen a game that looks or sounds like this.
Yeah, we're looking for back of the box quote as you put it on the list. Okay.
EAFC 25. Soccer is good. We don't have someone in your ear telling you to watch other sports. Good game.
Love it.
Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers. It's Balatro, but it's blackjack this time.
We can't keep doing this.
It's good though.
We can't all be Balatro.
Balatro
came out
this year. I know. It honestly actually probably was in development before then, and like all these games just got lumped into. I don't know what the original brainworm for all of them was.
Jeff, can you let me know if you find a solitaire Balatro mashup? That's what I need. I don't know how that game works.
It's
I
gotta
need someone else
exist.
to come
I'm
up
sure
with
a
it for
crude
me,
version of
but-
it exists, yeah.
Oh, Leo's got it, I think. I think he figured it out.
Like 8 years ago, Drew Scanlon on Giant Bomb told me about this amazing one through the podcast that I'm trying to remember the name of.
Okay, yeah, send it to me.
In the meantime, I'm gonna shout out Persona 3 Reload, which is fantastic. It's much better than this point on the list, but I've played Persona 3 100 times before. Probably only literally 3 or 4, but this is probably the one to play if you've never played it before, but it's not like substantially different. It's just they just keep making it better.
There you go.
Solitarica was the name of it, Kyle. I want to shout out another mobile game, Guncho, Guncho, which is like a cowboy tactics game on iPhone. It's free to start, and then it's like $5 to take all the ads off, and then you never have to pay for anything again. Awesome game on the go.
Sweet.
I want to shout out Echoes of the Plum Grove. I should have put this earlier. I totally forgot. Farming sim. It's generational, so you play as your kids. The entire town is generational. They all have kids. They grow up unless you get the plague, and then you die, and then you lose.
Perfect. The way
I
it should be.
started that up again last night, like a fresh save. That game's really fun.
Yeah, genuinely, such a fun game.
Thronefall. Everybody.
I love that game, Ben. I've been playing it every night since you recommended it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, nice, good game to have on Steam Deck. But tower defense, simple, clean design, but it's beautiful and effective as a simple tower defense
I beat all
game.
your high scores, by the way, because in that game you can see your Steam friends' high scores.
Wow.
That's an invasion of privacy, and I'd appreciate you not streaming it on this podcast.
I beat all. There's even one where I was a little lower than you, and I did it again. Just to beat high score.
And the beauty is I'll never pay attention to it. Congratulations.
You're welcome. I don't know. Concord, sure. I'll say Concord now. I don't care. It was fun. F you.
On your side.
Yeah, we like that game.
That's not at y'all.
You tell them.
That's not at y'all.
You tell them.
All right,
I know
okay.
y'all are Concord.
It's for like
Concord apologists like me.
I played more Concord than Overwatch 2 in my life.
It's
Telling.
weird to say that the
Yeah.
message that was for PlayStation, I think. It was fun, PlayStation. F you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, Ben editing out his own swear. Wild.
Yeah, wow.
No, I put
He's
that
a-
in there.
I saw him do the
We
time
can blame
stamp.
Ben though.
Yeah.
Boar Blasters.
Yeah.
Well, we're speaking of brainworms. Very dumb game that you could just play forever, and it's the same level 40 times in a row, and it's always fun.
Yeah, look, I mean, Dota only has one map. Come on, y'all.
Valley Peak's first-person climbing game that has a bit of platformer energy because you need to kind of like momentum yourself to latch onto certain points. The end
Sweet.
of Valley Peaks.
Cool.
Nice. Tactical Breach Wizards, which is another tactical turn-based game with crazy powers, but I was surprised how much I actually liked the world building and the goofy humor and interesting story.
I'll shout out one I don't think we talked about on the podcast. Odada. I don't actually know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
It's basically just a little like fun visual music making tool. If you are into that sort of, it's not really a game. It's just kind of like a fun little tool. You move around some buildings and mountains and stuff and make songs with it, and you make your own little cassette tapes. It's just a very cute, very chill experience.
It's basically a guided meditation.
Yeah.
It's randomly generated. It's so awesome.
Love it.
I Am Future, Cozy Apocalypse Survival. I talked about it on the podcast a few weeks back. Unique little take on a survival game. It would probably be in my top 10 if not for my save getting corrupted and me losing everything.
To hear it.
Damn.
Yeah. Putting this under the It Was Fun FU tier. Flight Sim 2024.
What?
I flew a drone in Tokyo. It's all I ever wanted. It's better than the other ones. I had a ton of fun. I did a blimp. I did a lot of things.
That would also get shut
pyramids.
down? Did I miss some news?
People are really mad at it.
Were they?
The variety of servers not working and game
I
structure
missed all that.
reasons.
Yeah.
The
I didn't have any
airplanes were too
issues.
woke.
Crashed into a lot of castles. Beautiful scenery. Also, you can leave the plane and walk around now, which I did.
Perfect.
Which is kind of crazy.
I had no idea you were into that game, Sarah. That's awesome.
I love crashing into things in Microsoft Flight Sim.
Apparently. All right.
Sicko. What the hell?
Yeah. Hey, y'all. You like llamas? Then you'd love Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story, as it's called. Another
I don't love llamas.
Gold
What a
Masters.
year. This would have been number 5 any other year.
This is the interactive documentary about the psychedelic British game developer Jeff Minter. And you get to play all of his wacky games, but it's freaking sweet to have an interactive documentary about this one guy's life.
I agree.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Welcome.
Tetris forever.
What was I just about I just had one, and now I'm defeating the purpose of...
Haley, you
Concord
want me to
again?
jump in? You can go.
Sure, go ahead.
Buckshot Roulette. Really weird, stylish game where you're essentially playing Russian roulette, but with a shotgun. But it gets a lot of like interesting gameplay choices out of that concept.
I remembered Hellblade 2.
I was already up.
I did that one.
You got that
not
one.
bad.
Yeah.
You nodded along the entire time, Haley.
I agree then.
I meant Hellblade 3.
The classic double Hellblade 2.
I always forget that Senua
Divers,
Saga Hellblade.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm gonna go Little Guardsman. It's Papers, Please, but cute, cartoony, with a bit of a time twist and a like castle-y setting.
Little Guardsman? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Fear the Spotlight, the other PS1 throwback horror game that is for people who don't like to get scared because it's not actually that scary, but it does have some fun little tactile puzzles and a nice story.
Sweet.
Was Gordlets this year?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Okay, just another cute little builder game. I'm at the end of my list here is just stuff that I like to do with brain off.
Yep.
And this is a nice little brain off, cute little guys game.
Love it. Love it.
SteamWorld Heist 2, great little game,
Ooh.
fun tactics. Also, kind of in that Shogun Showdown, like simple but meaningful way, where it's like single digit damage, double digits if you're lucky. It's all very easy to keep track of.
Right. Yeah.
Mine is Duranko Wonko, the free-to-play game where you play as a Pomeranian and your goal is to make your house as dirty as possible. And you get a lot of cute outfits that literally make me want to scream because they're so cute.
Okay, perfect. That's welcome here. Crypt Custodian, you're a cat in the afterlife, and it's Zelda-esque. Top-down as you're wandering around, exploring this, getting powers, getting abilities. Zelda Metroid elements in there, all that fun stuff. But Crypt Custodian.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's like this weird.
Okay, it's like this weird game. Okay, got it.
Weird and small.
Should we break
And
the
there's
order and everyone could just start
Not a lot of
shouting out?
side content.
Right,
We got to
right.
hit 100 at this point.
Yeah, we got to hit 100.
Yeah,
Let's
we're
just
so
keep
close.
yelling. Keep yelling, everybody.
100.
A real one may be Flock, I guess. Oh, sorry.
Okay, Flock.
Flock is good.
Got it.
Maybe
I like Flock.
Got it.
Yeah, click holding, the game where you click a million times and it's sexual question mark.
Now that's a game.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
for-
really not a
me in high
question mark,
school?
Kyle. It's explicitly.
I guess yeah. Botany Manor, environmental puzzles, but for growing flowers. Do you want to walk around a nice house? It's this. Do you want to have to take the pictures on your phone because they don't have a way to do that in game to remember the notes you read? This is also for you.
That's it.
Botany Manor.
Love it.
Scald Against the Black Priory.
Shut up, Jeff.
What?
Scald?
Right. It's Scald. Yep. You got it. You've
I've spelled.
Priory.
You're spelling that last
P-R-I-O-R-Y.
word, sailor.
Okay.
Prior?
It's like Baldur's Gate 3 if it was made for an Amiga. It's like super old school, but like just ridiculous depth of these tiny little characters. They have its own unique combat system and stuff, and it's and like really good storytelling because it's all just text based in terms of there's no voice acting or anything like that.
Yeah.
But lots of depth if that's your thing.
Love it.
Ask.
A Ranger, a role puzzling adventure. Remember that game? That was like a Zelda game if it was all on a Rubik's Cube sliding around. That was a cool game.
Angerfoot, movement shooter, really built around the kick thing. You unlock different shoes that make your kick, like your feet kick in different directions and stuff. It's really silly and fun.
Bandletale, the League of Legends crafting RPG.
Was that this year?
Came out
Whoa.
in February.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Good pull.
Princess Peach Showtime!
Okay, now we're just listing games that came out this year.
How
Is that-
dare
is that-
you?
what
That was the
I really
marker.
did like it.
How dare
Really did
you?
like
It's
the
okay.
game.
I liked
It
it.
was all right.
Oh, Age of Mythology retold, everybody.
Stopped at 100.
We did it. You think we're stopping at 100? No way. Let's keep the sucker going.
I got
100.
List
Platform
Fang of the
8.
time.
Okay, platform 8. Yeah.
That's all good. I got List Fang of the Time Shift Warrior. I talked about on the pod before. Are we just naming the games now and walking away?
Go,
which is
go,
okay.
go.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Go, go.
Oh,
Path of Exile 2.
Yeah, this guy's crazy.
Gamers.
Sorry, Janet.
no, it's all good. Haunty,
Haunty
Ooh,
with
good
2
one.
eyes, of course.
Miss Haunty.
Good.
Yeah, it's cool.
Hey guys, you guys like Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection?
Whoa.
I can't say I don't because I didn't play it.
Yeah. What else you guys
The
like?
Alan Wake DLCs don't count, right? They don't
It's a
count.
game-changing update.
They can count for sure.
I guess if they
Count as
change.
104.
They did
count.
count. Yeah, that's what I think too.
can
You can just put
stop
it down.
you?
I think it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know.
You can put
I
that
would
in there.
I would change my top 10 then if I'm allowed to have the Alan Wake DLC.
Change
You
it.
literally can.
Nothing's locked in.
Oh my
Change
God.
it. Change it.
Haley.
Oh my God. Okay.
Haley, you're the most
Erdtree's on here.
anti-DLC person here. Everyone else is fine with it.
That's true.
I don't like DLC, but we decided as a group that we don't care. You know what I mean? Like group rules of DLC allowed.
rules.
Also,
Love
they
it.
did integrate it with the game, so that's
That
kind of
is true.
interesting.
That's true.
Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble.
Oh, okay. We've hit a new
It was
low,
actually
everybody.
fun. I'm not just naming a game. I've played.
I know. I liked it too.
They're
I
on
liked
my
it too.
list.
I liked it
I
too.
played the first, like 3 worlds or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the way you unloaded
Yeah.
on that game on the podcast, Kyle, I'd never heard that type of fire in
It
your
is
belly
the kind
before.
of game that like this might give you a headache, but if you can push through, you will find a good time.
Yep.
Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed.
Whoa.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
wow.
Yep. Yep.
I thought you really liked this game. 109, huh?
I do like it, but it's number 28 on my own list, and there's 9 other people here, and it's a remaster.
It's a remake.
You know,
Yeah.
just because you allow it doesn't mean I should do it. You know,
That's fair. That's fair.
On that theme, Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster.
Oh, yeah. Michael Huber's rolling in his grave. Deluxe remaster. Love it.
This is how I learn what happened to
He's
him.
a zombie.
maybe not a significant enough update, but Lethal Company still in early access.
But fun. But fun.
From that logic too, Chain Together was
Chain
like a good
Together.
time.
That
Chain
was a
Together,
good
dude,
time.
that was
That was
pretty
fun.
good. Yeah,
That was fun.
It was pretty
Yeah.
good.
Abiotic Factory we had a fun
Abiotic-
time with,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, Abiotic Factory.
Hey,
Yeah.
we're thinking the same way.
I got
The
it.
streamer
Wouldn't that
gamer section.
Yeah, content warning on this too. That
Heck yeah.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
that's not higher for Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle.
Well, I'm
thank
not
you for
Sick
this
of
one
it
in your
from
time.
playing with his
I'm not-
family.
I'm not
Kyle
just
hates
throwing
his
on
family.
games that are just never going to come up and again.
Try it. You'll like it. Just freaking try it, dude. Try it. Toss one out. Toss one out. Are you a coward? Toss one out.
Capping the year.
This guy's a coward, you guys.
Yeah, I will support content warning. I had a good time with it.
Okay.
Oh
cool.
my god, Final Fantasy 14 Dawn Trail. What am I
There we
doing?
go. There we
Oh
go.
my god, I'm too Nicky pilled right now.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Underneath Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed. What a
I know.
new low for
How
Final
we
Fantasy
fallen.
14.
Insane.
Honestly, Sarah, Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed feels a lot like Infinity Nicky mechanically. If you want to just
Oh,
jump on
interesting.
over, the skills do transfer over. You don't get to dress up, but
At 115,
the
have we
environmental
hit?
design is the same.
Have we driven off the map, y'all? Have we hit there? The end of the road.
Killer clowns from outer space.
There it is. There it
Close
clearly.
it down.
And that's how we end.
Yep.
No other games happen.
No other games. Stop. Make it stop.
We're in the actively didn't despise section.
Yeah, literally.
And now
I
we've-
played that this year category.
Now we randomized this list and we got ourselves a 210s, everybody.
What
no.
if we did? That would be hilarious.
Can we
Just-
do it as a
I
group?
would love to
See
see
what it
what
would
ends up
be?
in the top.
Oh, that would be kind of funny. If everyone wants to copy
Fair
and
but
paste this
equal.
in something, please go ahead. All right, we should probably figure out our favorite category. Upper crust bubblers, everybody. Which are games that you feel like are below 20 at the moment, but there's no justice in this universe if they do not have a chance of getting into the 210s. What's an upper crust bubbler as you so deem
Sorry,
it?
I just randomized the list. Do you want to guess what number 1 is?
Oh, we have to guess?
Is it
No,
Fear the Spotlight?
I'll tell you. It's
Okay.
Llama Soft, the Jeff.
We did it! Llamas.
Spiritual winner.
There weren't that many llamas in that game, which I was surprised by.
Yeah, look, nothing's perfect, you know?
Could use more llamas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I was told there'd be llamas here. What's going on?
Okay, how are we feeling, y'all? What is like, over my dead body that's not getting into the 210s?
Okay, so like the first 20 is like a soft 20, right? Because we listed them. in the order that we
extremely
liked them,
soft.
right?
Extremely
so
soft.
these are ones that like even on like a personal level you would like to see be in the 20.
You
right?
think
kind of
you need to fight for them to get in there. Like you're gonna
Right.
if you stop podcasting today, the ones you'd be like, God, no, we didn't do it right. This needs to be in the 210s. It ain't right.
I think my upper crust bubbler I think is Batman. Because like I think it's like I don't know how much this is a factor, but like Suicide Squad left such a sour taste in my mouth for that franchise.
Yeah.
That to have a good Batman game on a platform that like really takes a lot for me to get excited about was cool and great. Like I had a great time playing Batman. Like the fact that I made time to finish it, I think is telling, and like walked away being like, that's the most fun I've had in VR since Alex, maybe. Like I'd have to think about it, but like Batman Arkham Shadow really surprised me in a big way. That's my bubbler.
I hear you, and you know we got to go off the passion of the group, but it is telling that everyone who tries the game's like, they freaking did it. And like coming from that attitude from when that game was first revealed and like, you know, reveal trailer, severely downvoted, everybody booing it 6 Ways to Sunday. Batman was down and out, y'all. He had very little
literally
health. Right.
At the end of
right. And this game brought it back and slotted it in and said, hey, here you go, everybody. Here is technically a new game that is going to put you in an Arkham game. And it fits in pretty damn well. And it feels so much better than you think it's going to feel. Like, yeah, mission accomplished on every front with Batman Arkham Shadow. Except for maybe...
They made a boxing VR game that doesn't make you feel like you're just flailing, which is like a testament to me.
Yep. Absolutely. It's cool. It's one that... you know, made me a little bit sick to play. And so that was a hurdle for getting over for going back and playing more. But I definitely
couldn't even play Jack and Daxter. So how much weight can
it's
you
true.
really put?
You see that crazy Daxter? He's all over
I
the
totally
place.
get the nausea argument for VR. It's tough to overcome for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Can we do another one?
Jacob, the floor is yours.
Mouthwashing.
Yes.
Should
Jacob,
be
yes.
on
Yes.
that list.
Yep.
To the top.
I genuinely, it is probably in the top 3 of video game narratives of this year. And it just feels, which we said before, kind of a weak year for like, plots specifically, but like what Mouthwashing is doing is just incredibly impressive the whole time.
100%. I was putting it off for way too long. Like the developer made How Fish is Made, which was a cream of the Steam game. If it gives you an indicator of like where mouthwashing's coming from, it's like, oh, that's a cool, funky little thing. Got around to playing through Mouthwashing. I think that was just last night that I beat it based on Sarah's recommendation. Like, absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, I feel like there's no way that's not getting on 210s. Like, I think it is a little horror masterpiece, and like just I can't think of a game that utilizes such a small space better. Like, it's basically one lounge and 4 rooms and a hallway, and it has an incredibly compelling narrative squeezed into that space, and also just makes it so dynamic and weird. So the idea is like you're in space, stranded in space after a horrific accident style thing, and just the few survivors trying to figure out what happened. It's jumping through time, jumping backwards and forwards as you're kind of piecing this story together. I mean, all the characters just like, all right, you got it. They're all clear, especially by the end. I think it's like, I was thinking about just in terms of characters of the year, which is a category we don't do anymore, but I was thinking about like, God, all of them. Like, I just feel like I get those characters so well, and they all had such a big impact. And it's such a cool feeling that like, because of this catastrophe on the ship, foam has been kind of shot out as an emergency mechanism to try and seal any gaps so that they don't lose the, air in the ship and everybody's not sucked out to space. And so like, especially in the first half of the game, there's so much that's just about like characters trying to scrape through the foam to just get some resources, but they know that if they scrape a little bit too far, they'll all die. And like that premise alone is like, that's such a wild idea of like, there's this box that I know medical equipment's in, but you need to scrape just a little foam, but you never know where the hole going to space is going to be. Like that idea just rocked me. And then of course the whole mouthwashing angle, which we talked a little bit in best moments, but like just leaning that hard into that, it really had an impact on me.
Cool.
I need to play it.
Yeah, I guess we shouldn't. We can say it's good without spoilers, but like ultimately, I think the thing that the game is about is incredibly bold and not done in games much. Like truly, it is just like when you reach the end and you're like, oh my God, that's what this whole thing was. It is like. It is a genuinely kind of risky feeling thing for them to have made a game about, and they pulled it off incredibly well.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep.
Hey, we got those too.
All right.
That's it.
I really feel strongly about Cryptmaster.
Cryptmaster.
We didn't talk about it on the first go around. It is a old school dungeon crawler format, so it's first person, but you are typing, so it's essentially a typing game. But I think what's really cool about it is that a lot of the typing kind of genre goes for dexterity-based typing. You know, you think of stuff like Typing of the Dead, where it's like, oh, to attack, or the game we played, Ben, the tower defense one also had like a dexterity kind of component to typing the commands
the RTS one, and who could forget the name of that RTS one based on typing that had the worst name
exactly.
ever? Yeah.
We totally remember it, and we're just not saying it. So, you know, there's all of that, but this has a different angle where you have like this set of party members, and you're sort of also kind of guessing. So it's kind of like a riddle game where you're trying to guess what their abilities are. But by defeating enemies, you're given letters, almost like Hangman style, of maybe you get, this isn't one of them, but like heal for like your mage character, and you have to guess, oh yeah, there's an E and an A, so I think this is, you can type it in and guess at any time. But there's also these really fun like riddles off to the side. And as you progress through the different levels of going up this crypt, essentially, there's like all these additional mechanics that get introduced, where you have at one point you can unlock fishing, where you can like fish and then grab the letters at a certain time. So I think they just have like a lot of creativity with how they're engaging with not just typing as a mechanic, but also the idea of word games and word play. And it's super strong. It's super compelling. There's a cajillion responses the Cryptmaster gives you to the things that you say. And there's like a lot of freedom in talking to NPCs because you can like type in anything and they have like a huge set of answers. And honestly, the only ding I have against this game at all is I do think navigationally it can be a little tough because it tells you what door you just came from. But if you enter a room with like 2 doors, gets a little hard to remember, like if you went that, that part's a little bit finicky. But other than that, I don't have any notes for this game. I think this game is super rad, super overlooked. And yeah, that's one I feel really strongly about. It's the highest one on my list that isn't already in our working top 20.
Gotcha. Cryptmaster.
I did play like 3 hours of that last weekend, and I thought it was really cool, but I came away thinking it was a little more like clever than fun. Where I was like, this is really, like asking the guy to describe stuff and whatever is cool, but I wasn't like having a blast playing it. I more just admired the game for its construction. So I don't like it's not too much of a ding, but I was more like, wow, good job, than like I can't wait to play more.
Yeah, I'm in that exact same camp as Jacob. I was like, this is a really cool thing. I'm glad Cryptmaster exists, but wasn't
Damn,
God
so you
over
hated it? That's crazy. When Ben says you're glad a game exists, that is the kiss of death.
There's a couple angles. That's what I say for AAA. If it's an indie game,
I'll back you up, Janet. So I'm not super far into it, so I don't know how much this is weighted, but I do think it's fun. I also think it's more impressive than it is fun. Maybe like I think the mechanics are really cool. Like, I am shocked this has not been a game yet. But I also think it's really fun. Like, I have been enjoying the combat. I've been enjoying the puzzles. Like, I do want to see where it keeps going. Now, if this is a 45-hour game, then probably not, but I assume it's not. So I think it's, from what I've played so far, I really like it. And I think the concept is not just cool, but cool enough to carry it and cool enough to also be fun and interesting.
Love it. What else deserves a spot in the upper crust bubblers? Not reserved, these mere upper crusters.
Anybody else play Wild Bastards?
I played Wild Bastards.
I played it a little
some,
bit. Yeah.
Did you like it?
I really liked Wild Bastards.
It was I liked it.
I haven't played a ton of it. I did like it. I was surprised that the kind of once you get into a level, the pacing is different than I was expecting. I was expecting kind of just like run and gun, first kind of retro first person shooter. And it's really more of like stalk around and like be terrified that you're going to get shot and like try and figure out where people are and pick them off in kind of a more strategic manner. I was ready for, or like starting to question if the formula is going to get kind of like evolve any more beyond that, because like part of it I think is like the procedurally generated villages and whatnot aren't as interesting as I thought the first Bastards game was. The space
Void
one.
Bastards.
Yes, Void Bastards.
Yeah, right on. The maps
but I was
do
still
get
early, so I don't know.
Sure, the maps do repeat more than anything else, and that does get a little old. But I do agree that you go into it and you expect, like, I'm just going to be running around so they can't possibly shoot me. I've played games like this before, but you get absolutely killed if you're just out in the open like that. It's much more about creeping around and listening, and not just listening for the gunshots and the reloads, but like their barks of calling each other out. They're understanding their understanding of where you are. It really hits that cowboy shootout mood in a way I haven't seen a shooter really go for. And it's so impressive to me to get dropped into a first-person shooter arena and have it feel unlike any other first-person shooter I've been presented with. I also think the characters are really strong and their voice acting is absolutely amazing. I don't think there's a miss in the 22 characters in that game. Really special to me, good longevity. I've beaten the campaign twice on different difficulties, and there's challenge runs, one of which is like every piece of gear that drops is a jetpack. So for this whole campaign, you're just flying and planning around, not being able to be as accurate because you are just soaring through the air, and you try to do like more AoEs and stuff. Really interesting, different feeling runs in that game. And again, perfect presentation. I'm really hot on it.
I really like the supplemental mechanics too, like the friend. Like, oh, no, they're not friends anymore, but their combo move is so good. I need to use I forget what the item was. Like, make them friends again. They're beans.
You tell them to share beans.
Yeah. And then they're like, I guess you're okay. And I'm like, good, be friends. Like, I thought that was a very interesting thing I've never really seen before.
Yeah, and they'll become friends or enemies without you doing anything. They'll just come back to the ship, and you'll have a little conversation between them of how one pissed the other off, and they're very in character and cute and funny.
Leo, out of anything that you'd want to slide through the gates, Wild Bastards is your champion?
I'm not sure what has the best shot. The other ones I'm thinking about are Pacific Drive and the finals.
Right.
I'll fight for Pacific Drive more than I think Wild Bastards. I love that game. And
cool.
That's probably the one sticking out the most from the lower tier for me that I would want to move up to Upper Crust Bubbler.
Me too. That was an early in the year one I went back to in the last couple of weeks to remind myself, how much did I like it? How good is it? It's better than I remembered. That game is fantastic.
It's doing so much. It's weirdly accurate where it needs to be, and it, like with the turning the key, closing your door, closing the trunk, all that stuff seems like extra steps, but that's fun, and then it trims fat elsewhere. Like the, menu systems and upgrading things, like that's very streamlined and doesn't need all the extra details. So I don't know, something about it is just so satisfying to play. And and the fear I have in my little heart when it's like, run, go to the end. If you don't go to the end, you will literally die. And I'm just driving through the woods like, oh my God. Like, it genuinely had me feeling crazy emotions when I played it too.
The end of every run has that kind of fear and excitement. And it really does feel like a mech game. You have this intimate relationship with this hulking piece of metal that every piece of it, of the 30 components, means something to you. And you're diagnosing the problems with it. You're decorating it. You are taking as much time as you need in the garage to piece by piece go, I can improve this, I could repair this, I could swap this out for this. The upgrades are all really fun to be upgrading your mechanic shop with extra parts lockers and stuff. But also the supernatural elements, the anomalies you're dealing with and learning about through interacting with. I was just driving up to this interlocking, a bunch of creepy mannequins, which are all throughout the game, who had electricity going between them. I was like, I think I remember, because this was me going back to it. I remember if I shoot a flare at these guys, that blows them up, and then I'll be able to drive through. So I get out, I go back to the trunk, pop it, hit myself in the head, of course, pull the flare gun out, go shoot, miss. But there's this giant flying anomaly guy who pulls the car around when you get too close or aggravate him. And he just turns and looks at the flare and zoops across the map at top speed to follow it. And so I just accidentally learned this thing to do about this character that then later I'm up against like, oh, I can see going into the zone, that type of character is really aggressive and there's a ton of them. So I can know to bring a bunch of flare guns and be set and just, blast them to the side away from the path I'm planning on going. I'm charting with the map. It's all super grounded and feels awesome.
It had a great sense of like home too. When you came back to the garage, you were like, I'm safe. Like it was always raining in this game too, and the rain sounds amazing, but it was almost giving me Death Stranding, like, phew, time to clean myself up. Like I'm cozy and safe now, almost sort of energy. Have a shower, like just take your time and hang out for a bit, and then you can go back out. So by the time you're pulling out of the driveway and the rain starts hitting your windshield again, you're recharged and ready to do another route. It was very good at establishing that too.
And like it starts raining, so you go in your trunk and you swap out your solar panel for a hydro power generator, and like every little element matters in that way.
Yeah.
Can we put Crow Country in the, what are these, the bubblers?
Upper crust bubblers. Adam.
Can we upper crust bubble it?
You betcha.
I just think like what a perfect package that game was, from story to just overall like stylistically, and then to like the puzzles and environment. Like, it's got it all.
It's got it all. Absolutely. Kyle, how you feeling about Crow Country 210s?
I like getting it up to the upper crust bubbler zone. I really like Crow Country a lot. It's not on my personal top 10.
Okay.
It is on my it was in my but like my 5 or 6 that were lingering on the bottom of like, do these make it into the top 10?
Okay.
I had a really good time with Crow Country.
Bubbler, bubble worthy, no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Bubble worthy.
I would be happy to see it in the 210s.
Sure.
Like, Crow Country is good.
I'm not moving this one, but one that seems like it's red hot and glowing to be talked about in my mind is Echoes of Wisdom. I think is interesting that it hasn't been brought up to even the upper crust bubbler territory. How are you feeling about that?
Are you bringing it up, Ben?
I'm not bringing it up. I just wanted to talk about it. I just wanted to have a little chat about our dear friend Zelda.
I mean, this was a pretty good game. Like, I think it's tough because this is such a strong year, and I mean, I don't finish a lot of Zelda games, and I mean, obviously, it was sort of my job too this year with Deepest Dive, so that certainly plays into it a little bit. But this was a pretty good one. I liked the mechanic a lot. It maybe got a tiny bit stale by the end, but like I enjoyed what they did with that game. I think it's
just your tone.
Sorry, I know I'm talking very vaguely, but like this
this
is such a strong year that like really most years I think this would be kind of a lock for the bottom 10.
Yeah.
And there's so many more like interesting games this year that I think that's what's doing it. Like it's not like a measure of fun, it's a measure of like fun plus interesting.
I love the sort of presentation of that game, like the look of it and the sound of it, and I love playing as Zelda. I think that was great, but like ultimately by the end I would just kind of felt like it wasn't quite what I wanted from a Zelda game. Ultimately, like at least that perspective of a Zelda game, I think I was craving more specific puzzles ultimately, and like it's not a game I've been reflecting on a lot as I've seen past credits. Like I'm not really thinking of like, oh, I loved that, or thinking about like moments or anything like that. I was just like, yeah, that was a really wonderful, charming little game that I just, it doesn't go on. Zelda doesn't automatically give it a pass into the top 210s.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate because it is an interesting game as far as Zelda games go for how different it is.
Totally.
And I did enjoy it a lot. I did appreciate the fact that the combat feels so differently from other Zelda games. But this was one that like I have been putting together my list of every game that I played, and I remembered last night it was like, oh, I completely forgot that this game existed.
Yep.
That's telling.
I haven't talked about it on the pod. I think I hard bounced off this game. I was like, a new Zelda. I love Zelda. I can't wait to play it. And I just found it mechanically uninteresting. Like I just, I was like, this is clever, I guess, but like playing it was just not exciting to me. And I really thought this was going to be a game that I finished and had a blast with, and I didn't even I don't think I even got like a third of the way through.
Yeah,
that menu really killed it too.
Yeah, the menu.
When you ate up that menu, and I was like, when you said it's an inventory game with a bad inventory management system, I was like, that was you eating that game up the way last year Leo ate up Cocoon when he said it's just box pushing puzzles, and I was like, oh my god, he's right. So and I think what discouraged me from finishing it, maybe one day I will finish it. I did have fun despite the awful inventory management, which was probably needed in an inventory management game. But someone told me that if you've played the first dungeon, you basically played like the best part of the game, which I get is up for debate. But I'm like, I kind of feel like I saw what I need to see in making my personal top 10. It was on there for a while. And then it just kept getting lower and lower. And I'm like, you know what? We don't need this on here. And I think like what Kelsey said nailed it. I think in a weaker year, Zelda could easily be in the bottom 20, or the second 10 to make it make sense for MinnMax.
Correct.
But yeah, I don't think I feel like if you didn't bring this up, no one was going to mention this.
I know. I think it's interesting. Like I love what a weird game it is. I love just throwing beds around and using those to navigate all these spaces. I love that this many decades into the Zelda franchise, they're trying weird stuff, letting you just spawn all of these items all over the place. It's cool how weird it is, but after for the deepest dive, like because I only did half of it, and then I kept going back to the game, like, well, of course I'm going to finish it. And I just kept going like, I don't really want to keep playing this. I think I get it. And it's a bummer, but
I think it's a fun system that doesn't have the level design to support that fun. It's like, this is all cool, and now what? And they're like, what do you mean?
I do take issue with it being called an inventory management game, because that implies that you have to worry about how much is in your inventory.
Okay,
right.
Mr.
Well,
Stickler.
that was me.
Infinite
It's just
of
a bad
everything.
UI.
It's an inventory selection game with
There
the
you go.
worst
I like
inventory
that
selection
better.
I've ever seen.
No Man's
yes.
Sky.
That was like me mis-summaring Jacob's point from like 800 episodes ago.
Right,
You
right.
nailed it, Janet. That's exactly what my problem.
Okay, so I guess it's number 20. No. Okay.
7.
Yeah, let's kick Indiana.
It's like, we're just naming games with big name. Why is no one talking Lego Horizons?
Well,
Like, I think we
there's
know.
the whole batch here of games that we didn't talk about. And I just want to make
Yeah,
sure that if there's a conversation to
in that
have about
batch.
these.
Shadow of the Erd Tree.
Right.
Elden Ring 2 years ago was our game of the year, and I think this is the best stuff in Elden Ring.
The
I
barrier
think
to
that
entry is just so high.
it is.
I mean, that's the reason I did not play it. And
Yeah,
I'm sure I
mean-
would feel the same way. It's a big ask.
Yeah. I mean, it is and it isn't in a weird way, but not like the fact that I'm even struggling to explain why it might not be is in itself a barrier to entry. Like, they did make a sort of condensed Elden Ring that stands off to the side that you can play without having made a ton of progress in Elden Ring. Like, you can do
but
it.
that's not true. You need to make it like you had gotten New Game Plus, but like
right.
if,
I guess
if
that's
you're
true.
going from the beginning, you do have to play like 40 hours of Elden Ring to
Okay.
get to
Yeah, then I'm
where
totally
it is.
wrong.
But it's just it like the specifically the map design in Erdtree is like pushed to such a just masterful level where it's like the best part of Elden Ring was going around and exploring the map, and Erdtree makes Elden Ring feel like a practice run in terms of like how complex and interesting the map is.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should put it up there. I don't think we should take it off just because like it has a barrier to entry. Because I would say like just Souls games in general have a barrier to entry across them. But like I really enjoyed the new weapons that they put in the game. I really appreciate the more character-centric story than previously in Elden Ring. I think this was very like a living in the moment story, whereas with Elden Ring, it's like exploring what has already happened. And I really enjoyed it. The map was beautiful. The bosses were insane. Some of the it was just a really, really nice way to like explore the world of Elden Ring again in like a new way. They had dungeons that they didn't have in the original game too. They added like additional dungeons that I think were really, really interesting. Just overall like very enjoyable.
I just want to say, to be clear, when I'm saying it's a high barrier to entry, that's not like and therefore it's bad or shouldn't be on the list.
Sure.
It's just like, this is clearly a game. It's more to explain why it's not higher for all of us, because I'm sure I would have loved this. There was just like no world in which I would have been able to do that this year.
Sure.
Yeah, I was going to say I fully endorse everybody's argument for Erdtree, but I watched my wife play it because she's the one.
What did she think?
She loved it.
Okay.
That's good.
did.
That's
And
basically
everything
that's
I've-
a vote
every-
from
that's a
liking
vote.
it.
All right.
Everything I
Now-
saw was like, this is more amazing stuff, and I hope I beat base Elden Ring at some point and get to play through it as well.
Yeah. Hey, folks. Is Starstruck Hands of Time going to be fought for the 210s, or is it a cool game that's not going to make the cut and we all have to just swallow that terrible feeling?
It's in my personal top 10. I think this is going to come down to how strong Jacob and Leo feel about it.
I finished it 2 days ago as well, and I really loved it. I think it's awesome. I don't know if it's upper crust bubbler awesome.
I mean, it's definitely.
I think.
Well, what does upper crust bubbler mean? I don't think it's getting onto the 210s necessarily, but it should be close.
It should be close.
It should be like, oh, it almost got up there.
Okay.
I think that's what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Upper crust bubblers are like, even if there's only one of us who want to see it in the 210s, that's like what an upper crust bubbler is, right?
I guess so.
Is it this year though?
I mean, there's a lot of games on this damn list that we haven't gotten to yet.
Like
That's what I
like
felt
a
like
lot
the
of the
assignment
upper
was.
crust bubblers at this point are because people are saying that I should be arguing for Diceomancer. I don't know that I can as like the only person. Everything else up on the bubblers has like multiple people who are really into it. It's a tough year for like that single passion project. Right?
Yeah.
Some stuff also has like as many people against it as are for it, though. So I think we might be
Yeah.
surprised by some things we can drop off the 210s.
I think you're probably
I think it's
right.
worth
so, too.
having
Like,
the
I think
games
the
that we want to
20
fight for in here.
I think the 20 that we have isn't not like I would be shocked if that was the 20 we ended with,
yeah.
and that's not even looking
Yeah.
at any particular game. That's just like
Yep, I agree.
the whole point of the process. You know, if it was just going to be us numbering it,
Yeah, but
we'd
let's-
end it already. But I think people definitely have like Kyle's Batman thing. Like, yeah, I'm surprised that came so low on his list. I feel like that's definitely something to think about, even if it doesn't end up on there.
Starstruck Hands of Time, awesome. It's just a series of moments of going like, God, this is so cool. God, that's awesome. And yeah, I do eat my words, Jacob, for saying like, it's a simple game. Why don't they make more games like this? Like it's not a simple game. It's a weird, super weird,
Deb was
complex thing.
screaming at you through the podcast, probably.
It's definitely, it's the, it's the best mix of live action and gameplay that I've seen since Alan Wake 2, by far. I know that was just last year, but like so many awesome little details in there of just like seeing your character as they run around. It looks like they're made out of clay. I mean, to the point that the main character, arguably Edwin, has like a little fingerprint on his face as he's running around, but just like the things that they do then with that clay premise, like it's really awesome.
Ben, do you like that part where they just start throwing the character at the screen and listing historical epochs?
So into it. So into it.
That almost made it onto my moments of the year. I haven't stopped thinking about that moment.
Or even like when it's like that circular ring and you're like running from one side to the other and just listing like all the corollaries between societies. Like this is so unique. And I think I had a wild time, you guys, of just trying to get ready for this episode of I played Indica, Starstruck, and Mouthwashing back to back, and I was like,
Oh my God,
what
man.
a year!"
Like, games are art.
Like, like games are weird as hell, and it's not. It feels like such a different layer of like games are weird as hell, and they're swinging hard, but they're not janky. Like they're all incredibly well done, and just production quality has gotten to that point where we can take some really bold, weird swings with these games. And God, I was really feeling that just for a trifecta of being amazed by games this year.
Yeah, for Starstruck, for me personally, like I am just such a big fan of Love Delic, the Japanese studio that made some weird games a long time ago. Particularly Moon is like one of my favorite games of all time. And this not only I think is a really good game by itself, but is also such a like, it's such a good version of like, just if someone were to make a game like Moon today, like this is exactly what it would be. And it really nails the sort of like tone and the weirdness and the introspectiveness. And it's in like a shorter, smaller package. So it's a little bit more digestible than I think Moon is. But I mean, like it really, really great for me. I think that even if you've never played Moon, but you like things like Undertale or Earthbound or something like that, and you're kind of into this slightly more offbeat stuff, like I think you will like this a lot too.
Starstruck Hands at Times, name of the game, yeah.
Something I almost brought up for best thing was in Starstruck when you are putting your hand through the teleporter, which brings it into the past, and you start banging and destroying buildings and stuff. If you pause, it goes back out to the ship, and your right hand is stuck inside a teleporter. And if you want to move around the menu and press buttons, you have to use the left trigger, and it makes your left hand's fingers press a different set of buttons than you normally are pressing in the menu.
Yep.
That's great.
That's so cool.
So
cool.
cute and made with so much love. So many fun little weird, funny details like that.
Yeah.
So put it at the top.
And just
Number
so much
one,
like
Starstruck.
handmade.
All right, what else do people want to fight for
So much
sure?
like handmade art in there, which I thought was really cool. Like it just, there's a lot of stuff that is just like footage of handmade stuff, and in a year that's like super AI focused, and we're seeing all this AI slop and everything. Like, it was just so nice to see like someone just crafted the moon out of clay and it's beautiful.
Yep.
Like, it was just really nice to see the artistry in there.
Yep, absolutely. What's moving up to the upper crust bubblers?
Can we move up? The Rise of the Golden Idol.
Right. Okay. Rise of the Golden Idol. Move it up one.
As the person who championed the Golden Idol last year, it's their second game in the series, and I was surprised at how much they were able to add to it and sort of like switch up their puzzle formulas. And the way that this game gives you multiple ways to like come to the same conclusion. Like, it's not just like one and done. Like, there's not like one correct way to solve a puzzle. I just think it's very creative and very cool.
It is, but what if we just had a rule of no sequels for the 210s?
Well, that's too bad for some of the
That'd be
games on
fun.
the list.
Bye bye Final Fantasy.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, buy Final Fantasy stuff.
By Helldivers.
Bye.
We'd have room for everything else.
If you squint though,
Persia,
Astrobot looks like it's the first game in the series, you know?
Janet gets
Indiana Jones is gone.
a sequel.
Alright.
It's like the
It's
fifth
like
Indiana
adapted
Jones
screenplay.
game.
It's not a sequel to those games.
There have been other Indiana Jones games.
Yeah.
I beg to differ.
Lego.
We don't have time.
Okay, what do we else we got for stuff where it's like absolutely no dilly-dally and absolutely I'm going to fight for this for 210s. No jokes.
If it pleased the court and we're allowing it, then Alan Wake 2 DLCs as a combo package.
Oh, I didn't expect that burn.
I think you're the only one arguing against it, Haley.
I know. Because I
Pleases the court. I think you're the court.
If it
'Cause
pleased
we're all
the
fine
court,
with it.
Night Springs and the Lake House together at once, right? That would be the
Did
only
they
way
release
to
at the
move 'em
same
up.
time?
No.
No, but I think you can only buy them together. I think they only
Yeah.
are sold
Yes.
at the same time.
All right, I'll allow it. I think
He allows it.
they can only be if they can only be purchased together, right? I don't know.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that's true, but I'm
I thought
gonna
that was
say
true.
yes. So
Someone tab over and
You
report
had
back.
to pick one, though, Haley. If you had to pick one, which one do you prefer?
do I have to?
I think we can bundle it. I think
Yeah,
it's
you can bundle it.
I think
Might as
that's-
well, because
it's
Lake House
basically-
It's the
is
same game.
It's basically
you know,
like putting Alan Wake 2 on this list again, but with this update of that content in there, you know? So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say I think Night Springs is okay, and I think Lake House is good. So I actually think that bundling
funny.
them like is not. I mean, I wouldn't
Bundle.
have either of these on the 210s, but I think
What
it's
about episode
fine as an
3
effort.
of Night Springs, Jacob? That one was so good.
I think it's
with
like
10?
cute, but it's like there's,
Jacob, dragging you down to the bottom of the lake.
I just don't think
cute.
there's
an
anything in
ocean.
either of them that's like better than what's in Alan Wake 2, which I do feel about Elden Ring, for example.
Why do we
Right.
have to do that? Why does it have to be better than Alan Wake 2?
Because I
Because
just
we
don't feel
played
like
Alan
it
Wake
like
2.
improves on the game. You know,
Yes,
like it
but
does
it's-
feel more like an addendum.
It's almost like they're spin-offs in my mind, even though we call them DLC.
Right, and I guess I don't find a spin-off that compelling.
But you don't have to play 40 hours of Alan Wake to get to these DLCs.
I will say the best thing about the Alan Wake 2
You do
DLC is
understand
I
that.
don't have to play Elden Ring. So that is that is one thing going for it.
It's true.
I played all of Night Springs, but not Lake House. And Night Springs, I liked the first chapter, but by the end, I was pretty ready for it to be over.
Okay. Okay.
Shocked.
All right.
I'm shocked
Sorry,
at this.
Alan. What else should be moved up to the upper crust bubbler territory?
I mean, should we talk about Peglin? Because I feel like pretty much
question.
all of us here have been obsessed with it at one point or another. I don't know if that means it should make the top 20, but like, how many of us have put a stupid amount of hours into it?
Like 30.
Jacob, Leo,
Yeah.
Jeff, and me.
Here's another twist away, if I may, for a twisteroo though. Where's it at for you guys' top 10s? Is it a game that's like fun and we put a lot of time into it, but it's not like on our personal top 10s?
Yeah, it's not on it for me.
Yes, you know what's funny is I think if Balatro didn't come out this year, this would have made my top. Like, I wanted one of those kind of games
Right.
on my top 10.
Okay.
And this would have been it if Balatro didn't come out.
Okay. That's telling to me.
But-
no disrespect to Peglin.
Yeah, I really Peglin's weird because I feel like other roguelikes, you like the more you play it, the more you kind of get into it. And like I reached kind of a breaking point with Peglin where I just think it's like the beginning is like slow enough that I just didn't want to play it anymore, because like going through the first world is kind of boring and you have to do it every time. And so I like my arc with Peglin was like really good, and now I would rather play regular Peggle pretty much any time than play Peglin.
You're like a metal ball bouncing between pegs all the way down.
Yeah, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down.
Peglin I had a lot of fun with, but it's like the way progression works in that game is, it's such a not totally random. There's some skill and there's a lot of build crafting, but you're getting big lottery jackpots. I hit 1,000 pegs here and I did compounding damage every time, and that's so fun and that feels so good. And the way progression works is they strip away things that allow that to happen until eventually like all you can do is pay for health to keep yourself alive, to keep the run going, unless you're having like an amazing run. And that kind of eventually pushed me off of it. It just got like less and less fun as you progress through it. So I ended up, leaving it with a sour taste in my mouth, even though I liked the first 10, 20 hours a lot.
So no disrespect to a great game. Maybe
I
not
stand
upper crust
corrected.
bubbler.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good poke. Good
this
poke.
This can stay.
Worth talking about, no doubt. And recommended still.
What's fiery injustice that it's not up there? Give me fire. Give me fuel. Give me fire. Give me that
I
which I
think
desire.
Arco might be worthy of consideration. Admittedly, I think of the people that played it, I might be on the lower hour count, so I am a little hesitant to be lobbing it forward. But again, really strong year, so it's always tough coming into that. But I think the writing is like really compelling, and I just like how often it provokes like curiosity within me playing, whether it's through the mechanical systems or just through like how things go down. I had given examples of this before, but like one that really got me was I was trying to get information on this guy and I cut his ear off, because he wasn't answering me. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, well, he died and you got nothing and this is a waste. And I'm like, damn. In Reservoir Dogs, the guy lasted way longer, know? But genuinely, like, stuff like that felt so fun. And, I don't know the other side of things. I know a lot of times people with choice-based stuff kind of argue, well, if it's not different enough in other variations, is it really good? But I'm of the mind of, if it is evocative in the moment, it doesn't necessarily need to be truly, hyper-differential. Like, I'm not sure how differentiated the pathways are narratively. But yeah, I think it's just, for the couple hours I did put into it, it just I felt very engrossed and involved in what I was playing on all levels. I think a lot of games tend to have clear-cut strengths, but I feel like Arco really is firing on all cylinders.
Yep.
Again, stacked year, and very curious what people who played more than me think of Arco, but Arco is in my top 10. So is Grun, but people aren't going to like Grun like that, so I'm just going to leave Grun down there. Like, Grun, it was fun, but, you're not going to make it. You're kind of in that Duck Detective realm if I'm really thinking about it, but I liked Grun. But Arco, I think, is really compelling. Even if I could see this also beating out Cryptmaster based on the group of just passion for it. So,
I think Arco is really cool. I think it's telling that it's a short game and none of us finished it.
Damn.
These conversations are so funny because it's like a very nice thing to say is, I think this is really cool. And Janet's like, straight to my heart.
Ben?
I'm just saying, if none of us finished it, it's awesome. But like, if none of us were compelled to finish this short game,
we can't have a game on our 210s that's a story-focused game that none of us have finished.
Correct.
Like that just feels, it's like I like that game, but the fact that I did not finish it before this conversation, I feel like has to mean something.
I agree.
Yeah, super cool game.
Super cool game. No doubt, super cool game.
We're sending things up just to kill them.
I mean,
Arco didn't move up. It was never moved in the
It was never moved. I was hearing it
out.
out. I don't think it stood a chance.
Black Ops 6. No, I'm just kidding.
Are we to the point
You
of
don't
no
have
more
to be kidding.
upper crust bubblers? Is that
No,
it?
it's not. It's not.
I'm holding myself back on the finals only because of what I did with Hitman Freelancer last year. So if I'm being truly honest to myself, I would want the finals to be in the upper crust.
Move it up,
Move
baby.
it up. I mean, no one.
We all have
bet.
so much guilt about this end of year.
Did anybody put 400 hours into any other game this year? Not that that's a determining factor, but that's something, y'all. Like,
If Leo's personal passion is going to move the finals up, then you can move Diceomancers up as well.
Yeah.
As my
Absolutely.
third favorite game. I haven't gotten to 400 hours yet, but I only started playing it like 2 weeks ago.
if I may, Jeff, where do you think it's going to be on your personal list for Diceomancer? Just to get a sense of where we're at.
It's currently at number 3.
Number 3.
He said.
Whoa.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
Good to know. Leo, finals, where are you at?
I had a lot of trouble with the order of my list this year for everything except the finals, which has been at number 1.
Number 1. Okay.
Oh.
That's telling. These are telling ingredients, y'all. Telling ingredients.
I mean, that might need to be in there just from. Have we ever had someone's number 1 not be in the 210s?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
I'm
There's also a part
just
of me
asking
that's like
questions, you know?
the year we almost didn't have Rumbleverse on it. It was killed 2 months later, and that's the only record that game ever existed was our 210s. There's an urgency there for me.
Yeah, that's true.
You're the only reason I say Rumbleverse as often as I do, Leo. It was your passion. When I go back to that website.
I think on Wikipedia it's called Leo Vader's Rumbleverse.
It is, yeah. Edit it. No one else is looking.
Yo, the Leo bundle on Steam, it would eat. Like, are you joking?
Okay, so are we closing the door for upper crust bubblers? Because we got a lot to work with right now, just for audio listeners.
Yeah.
So we got, the 210s. Those are not locked in by any means. But then below that, well, let me just run it all down. Number 1, we have 1,000 times resist. Sorry, number 0, we have Fields of Mystery. Number 1, we have 1,000 times resist. Number 2, we have Astrobot. Number 3, we have Balatro. Then Helldivers 2, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, UFO 50, Infinity Nikki, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor Refantasio, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Prince of Persia The Lost Crown, Dragon's Dogma 2, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, Mini Shoot Adventures, Indica, Manor Lords, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Thank Goodness You're Here, Nine Souls, Animal Well, and then the upper crust bubbler batch. So pop a bubbly at home, everybody. Batman, Arkham Shadow, Mouthwashing, Cryptmaster, Pacific Drive, Wild Bastards, Crow Country, Elden Ring, Shadow the Erd Tree, Starstruck, Hands of Time, Rise of the Golden Idol, Alan Wake 2, Night Springs and Lake House, The Finals, and Diceomancer. And everything below is slowly sinking into sludge, forever to be forgotten or celebrated on this very episode. Yeehaw!
I'd like to argue for Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble to move down.
Wow.
All right. Tough but fair, man. Tough but fair.
Starting
Just
at
to send a
33, they're
message,
all on a
that's crazy.
horizontal line, I think.
Right.
Under
Right.
Killer Clowns?
Yeah,
Well,
mathematically,
it's like that,
these are all
control.
equal games. 33 and beyond.
Boy, just for a rough organizing of upper crust bubblers, nothing specific, but we got a big batch here of 11 games. Just trying to get a sense. I feel like mouthwashing might be at the top of this heap for most likely to move up. And again, if I'm being biased, call me out, please. This is the one time I encourage comments about me being biased.
Yeah, should we turn the upper crust bubblers into 2 or 3 upper deckers?
Oh my god.
Well,
Yeah, it sounds nasty, but
When do we start taking stuff off?
I think we will. I just want to get a sense of where we're at maybe right now, just to figure out like what's really in contention. I feel like based on the group, what do we feel like also is like this should go up?
The finals should move up.
I agree.
I think the finals.
I was
as
thinking
well.
that too.
I think.
But not above Batman, you lunatic.
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle, where's Batman on
Leo's
your
number
list?
1.
Where's Batman on your list?
Where's
Kyle?
Batman on your list? Show me the
We all ask,
Batman.
did you drink water?
Good question. This is a great question.
Don't move
He's
it.
like, let me just add it to my list real quick.
Yeah. Oh, that's number 1. Look at no, it's
Wow. Oh my
number,
God, he loves it.
it's number 8 for me.
Okay.
But I sent this list to Ben, and since I've sent it to him, I've edited it, and I may edit it again. But that's where it is right now.
Yeah.
You
It's
coward.
now number
Okay.
2.
Yeah.
No, it won't go that high. It won't go like above 5, but it might move up a spot or two.
I like Batman. I'd hate to be rude here, but like I think this is such a tight category. Like if something's north of 5 on your personal list, like we might have to say sayonara Batman. I mean,
But I like it.
of course, and it's getting its due. It's cool.
Is everything else on your list
I
represented
put
up here?
400 hours into it.
right.
Yeah, I just left the game on for a long time, if that counts for anything.
I fell asleep with that set on.
Yeah, left the software running, if that's meaningful.
Kyle's blind now because he played 400 hours of that.
Yeah.
Almost all my list is represented. There's 2. I have Silent Hill 2 and Stellar Blade are the only ones on my top 10 that are not represented, and I'm okay with that. I don't.
Kyle's
feel like,
being spoiled. He's saying his belly is
Yeah.
full, and we're all hearing it.
Well, it turns out we all played a lot of the same games that we liked.
Absolutely. What else is egregious for not moving to the upper crust of the bubblers?
I'm an Elden Ring hater, but I imagine Erdtree is
think
probably.
I think that feels.
Elden Ring sickos. Is that high on your list, or where did it land for people?
Let me
It's not
check.
on my top 10.
It's
Mine is 6. Or 6 on mine.
It's 8 for me.
Ooh.
Not damning, but that's an interesting bit of data.
Why don't we move
Batman
that
of
up and
Souls.
start
But
poking?
there are multiple people for that one.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's more passion for Starstruck, honestly, than for Erdtree.
That's a good question.
Or more people have played it, but I don't know where. Like, Starstruck is not on my top 10,
Yeah.
even though I think it's.
Is it on? It's
super
on mine,
cool.
but is it on anyone else's top 10?
It just missed mine, but I do like it a lot.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. Like, I love this game. I have a lot of passion for this game, but like, I'm also feeling fairly well represented so far. So
Sure. I mean,
Where is it on your list, Kelsey?
I've been moving it around so much. I don't remember. It's like 6 or 7 or something like that.
Okay. Yep.
It's also hard, for like a game that we all played in basically the last week to try to figure out like where that fits.
If
with
it
what
came
we
out in
played 8
March,
months
like
ago.
that's really tough to try.
I think it's like 7 right now on my list, but I'm still my top 10 is like the bottom half could all move up or down 1 or 2.
I think, he's being modest and shy, but I think Poggers has something to say. No, I think Diceomancer is a contender for the upper
I would
crust
like it
bubblers.
to be a contender.
Top 3 is pretty high.
Yeah.
It's never been lower than 3 for me.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you don't got to flex not editing the
pretty
list,
good.
Stefan. If you start, I'm not changing my mind. I feel like there seemed to be a lot of passion for potentially Rise. I don't know where that's on your list, Sarah. I didn't get to it this year. Pacific Drive also
Pacific
got some
Drive is
props?
interesting. Yeah.
I'm wondering about Pacific Drive.
Your guys' personal list, Pacific Drive sickos, where's it landing?
6.
6.
15 for me.
Oh,
Okay.
Your list goes to 15?
Still on there though. I mean, this is my 2 10s.
Yeah.
I would say
Pacific Drive, and it's not on my top 10.
I did play
don't know why it's above
Pacific
Batman.
Drive, and I didn't love it. So
I
that's-
previewed it and I didn't like
I
it.
am Jacob as
But I was
well.
just curious what
no.
other people felt like
Okay.
who liked it.
Okay.
I was wondering if it was how high of that passion there
This
was.
is good.
A preview is not the same as playing a full build either. So
This is good to know. Rise of the Golden Idol. Temperature check.
That's 5 for me.
5 for you. Okay.
ooh, that's like round the cusp.
That's good.
yeah.
That's good.
That might be in there.
I mean, where's that for other folks?
It's currently 8 for me.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so as far as I read it, and again, point is shout it out if you see injustice being committed here, just like on the streets. Leo, you feel like you're ready to shout?
I'm curious. In our top 2 10s, do we have anything that'll surprisingly be just
I think
low on people's list?
yes, I do think
Yeah.
that's the point we're at now. Is let's start poking these Jenga pieces of the 210s. I'm looking at stuff. Number 1 to me is number 20, which Animal Well. Like again, awesome game. Is anyone?
Oh,
I didn't even particularly I respected it, but like I was like not for me, and I like Metroidvanias.
yeah. I feel similar. I think I liked Animal Well more than you, Jacob. But like, and I don't know if this is like the greatest argument, but like I liked Prince of Persia more, right? If we're gonna
way more.
represent the genre, like I'm okay with moving Animal Well down. But I would fight for Prince of Persia though.
Of course. Is there a champion
Yeah,
for Animal Well? Oh, sorry. Jen.
I guess technically me, I have it the highest on my list of probably anybody. I have it at 6. I'm okay with Animal Well getting booted because that game pissed me off to no end by the end. But I do think it was really well constructed, so much so that it continually moved up my list because as much as I kind of got mad at it by the end, I struggled to find games that were better than Animal Well is the one thing I will say about it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Animal Well, and then I beat it and looked up all the stuff that I was never realistically going to be able to do myself in terms of like the puzzles, and that kind of really cooled it for me. But I have very mixed feelings about that because I'm glad it exists. I'm glad there are these like totally crazy
Now you
puzzles
too.
in there for like
Sniper
the
shot.
super detectives who like figured all of that out. But it was like I beat it. I had a fun time, but I feel like I saw half the game, and like the rest is just out of my reach to get there.
I enjoyed Animal Well. Didn't make my list. I always, whenever people talk about it and say Metroidvania, I'm surprised by that because the tools are so unique and thoughtfully designed
Very
to
awesome.
give you new gameplay experiences you
Yeah.
hadn't had in that type of game before, where it's like, oh yeah, I guess it is technically that, even though it's has nothing I would associate with that genre, really.
Well, it's
Except
about,
for the getting
it's about
lost
getting
part.
new ways to move to let you go
Yeah.
to bigger, better places, right? Like,
Yeah.
you never
But I think it
blew
does-
a bubble and jumped on it in Metroid, but like you got a double jump, and it's like the emotions
Yeah.
are kind of the same.
But I
yeah,
do think
don't-
it was kind
I
of
got you.
sneakier and more creative than what you normally see in this space.
Yeah, I
which
agree
is
with that.
Why it's on
Yeah.
my list, but I'm
I
not
almost,
smart
I
enough
almost
to
argued
play it.
for, I almost argued for top moment being like that moment in Animal Well when you figure out a different use for one of your
Yes,
abilities,
actually, yeah.
which happens multiple times. Like the first time I realized you can jump on your frisbee as it's passing back and then ride
Same.
it. And like they didn't tutorialize that at all. That's just something you have to figure out. And it's like most of the items had that, and it is a completely different feeling for compared to a lot of like the lazier Metroids where it's like, okay, well now you can shoot a super missile at pink doors, and now pink doors
Yeah.
are open. This
Yep.
was like, wow, I figured this out myself, and now I can get so many new places.
banger aesthetics too, incredible sound design. Yeah, it's like it is very strong in my opinion, but I'm not in love with it either. I like begrudgingly list it, so I think I don't have a big problem with it potentially being knocked
well,
off. I
it's
think
funny.
you already moved it, so
did.
why am I still talking?
It's so funny to have this big conversation of all the things we loved about Animal Well and end it with, and that's why it's not in our.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
like I just think like there's not I don't have a
Give credit.
love for it, but I do have a deep respect
Yeah.
for it, which is why it's so high. But it seems silly to have it be there for like you are technically better, but like, you know, if I don't love it, I guess the end.
I bounced off of it. I think it's really cool and really pretty and beautiful and all that. But yeah, I could not get through it. So.
All right. We're all kicking it down the well collectively. Godspeed.
Can I hear a love letter to Mini Shoot Adventures?
Yes.
I barely really know what that game is.
Yeah, it is Geometry Wars meets Zelda. Is the easy pitch. So it's a Zelda style game. You're exploring this overworld, but imagine you're uncovering secrets Zelda style, going through dungeons Zelda style, but also it's amidst this bullet hell chaos. And it is, looking at this list, it is, I think, like the most solid piece of little game design on this list of just like rock solid, satisfying as all hell. The upgrades all matter. The secrets are fun to uncover. And also it just fixes that problem to me of like, you know, you might like some old 2D Zelda experiences, stuff like that, but the combat is always fine. Sorry, Link to the Past fans, but imagine having like fun Robotron Leo style gameplay as you're dodging the bullets and like just taking that basic Zelda formula, but just making it look so great, sound so great, have an upgrade path, and then also just the core combat loop is incredibly satisfying as you're firing your missiles and getting upgrades and stuff like that, and then dodging these wild, getting more and more abstract bullet hell patterns. It is just like, you know, Janet, I know we were talking about it this morning of like, if you just play it for 20 minutes, I feel like you'll understand how it's just such a rock solid piece of game design.
I mean, that was the thing.
I did
for
not
me.
play it for 20 minutes, unfortunately.
Okay,
so I
well,
don't
no one's
know.
perfect.
Well, that was the thing for me is like, it was one of those games is like, I've heard a lot of description of this. It seems like my kind of thing. I'll check it out. You know, I'll see what it's like. And I could not stop. Like it was immediate. Like I was like immediately like, I'm playing this to the end. I want to see everything this game has to offer. And it's one of those rare games. You know, we'll talk about it more with Lorelei and Laser Eyes this year, where it was like, when I was done, I was like, I want an excuse to continue to be in this world, and I'm going to keep trying to find things because I love how this looks and feels so much. Like it, and also the way it sort of lets you know where secrets is like really enticing in terms of like letting you find everything. It weirdly like blew me away. Like I it's one of those games I went in going like, I think I'll like this, and it was like, this is the only thing I'm playing. Like I'm not gonna play anything else until I finish this because I love it so much. Yeah.
That's interesting because my feeling about it is like everything that you've said about it being good is good, and my knock on it is it's just kind of slight, where like it hasn't changed anything about playing games for me. I can't imagine like playing something else and being like, they're doing what Mini Shoot Adventure did. Like it is just an incredibly solid, very fun game,
Right.
which is a ridiculous
Yes,
thing
thank
to
you,
say
Jacob,
as a
which is why
negative.
it's in the
Here
top
comes
two.
the Jacob argument
but-
of it's too fun to be on this list.
I just think there are
Oh, but
games
Cryptmaster
that
isn't
do
fun
that
enough. You know, let's
and
go. I'm just
more.
joking.
Right.
you know, that it is a really fun, well-constructed game, and there are other games on this list that mean more than that.
I think it's a fair critique that it's like not complicated. Like it is just really, really solid. I just think like, I don't know. I always like having experiences like this on the list though. That's
Totally.
just like, but I do think, you know, to your credit, like we do have a lot of really solid small experiences this year.
It's like UFO 50 is 50 of those.
That was exactly what I was going to say. It was like my only ding, because I loved this game. I think it's so solid and so good. But yeah, what would bring it down for me if we're bringing it down is that UFO 50 has at least 13 games that are as solid as this one.
I don't think that are as solid. And like the production value, obviously it means something, but like, you know.
Well, sure.
Right. I mean, if you took the core design elements of the UFO 50 game, I guess, and kind of gloss it up a bit, but I do love the fact that there is some, you know, stone tablets you can read for a little bit of lore, but I love the fact that it's just like no story, barely any text, just go through and have a blast. I love it for that reason.
The story is completely throwaway. I beat the game. I did all the challenges. I 100%ed that game. I agree with Kelsey that there's probably 24 games in UFO 50 that when I played them, I was like, oh, this is really interesting and something that I haven't seen before. And nothing in Mini Shoot Adventure stood out to me like
Sure.
that.
To be clear, both
other
games
than,
could
like,
be in the 210s.
It's a fair point.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, but yeah, it's for me. It ended up falling down to like number 15 or something.
Okay. Haley, you played it, right?
Yeah, I beat Mini Shoot. It's at number 10 on my personal list. I agree that it's good. It's just good at what it wants to do, and it does it well. And I get that it doesn't really improve on anything, and then UFO 50 is 50 good, also good games. So it's like it's a very hard thing. Because it's one of the only other games on this list that kind of like feels like it could be part of UFO 50. So that's why it's kind of almost mean to it to compare it, because it is something totally different. And it's not just length of time that makes it like more of its own thing, its own separate game. Like there really is a level of polish to it that I think separates it from making that comparison entirely.
Although also like every time I was heading to like the next gate or whatever, I got lost for at least 30 minutes and got super frustrated at.
Yeah, the map can be really frustrating.
And I think everyone had that experience.
Yeah, the nice thing is, like, as you're lost killing enemies, you get experience and you can still level up. So it's not like you're completely wasting your time as you're kind of running around.
It's not complete waste, but also there were plenty of times.
Yep.
There were plenty of nights when I was playing through that I was like, okay, I just want to get to the next place. It almost feels like this game is obtuse just so that I am playing it longer than I would have. I feel like I probably could have cut off 30% of my playtime if I had just been able to get to the next temple or whatever it was.
I was like, for how simple this is, I should not be frustrated with it.
I had that feeling too, just because they did everything else so well. I found myself like in a little bit of disbelief that the map was kind of difficult to navigate. Because I was like, literally every other part of this is just kind of flawless. So it does almost feel in that like old arcade vein or old, console game vein where they're like, well, we're just going to make it hard here so that you're playing it longer.
Yeah. I mean,
but consider that the ships look like little cookies and it's very cute.
Little Protoss cookies. That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's my personal number 5, I believe. But Leo, as the one who poked that Jenga block, what's your read on that discussion? Is it dropping out of the 210s or is it hanging on by a thread?
Where is it on other people's lists? Haley had it at 10?
I have it at 6.
It's below 10 on mine, but it in the top 16 or so.
Yeah, that's tough to say. I think a 5, a 6, and a 10 sounds pretty solid, but we'll see what is going on with these other ones.
Yeah. So I slid it down, but keep poking.
Keep poking.
I think you can stay where it is for now. I'm not saying it's going to
slide it
live
down.
there forever,
Hey, can I take the finger that Leo poked Mini Shoot Adventures with and then turn it around and then jab it back in his eye? Thank goodness you're here. I have some questions about.
Don't poke that.
Don't poke. Don't poke.
Thank goodness you're here. 4 hours interactive cartoon where you slap stuff. I beat it in 3 nights, and then for like 3 weeks afterwards, every night I went to bed and I was like, damn, I wish I had more thank goodness you're here to play. That is just the most delightful little experience.
I love this game. I love the way it looks in particular so much that I looked up the artist to see if they were taking tattoo like
whoa
because like I so rarely, and I don't have a tattoo, and like so why'd I do that? Because this game looks really unique and cool and lovely. I just love the way they're drawn. That humor obviously is hilarious. I was laughing out loud while I play it, which never happens at games for me, so that's always super telling. And it was such a weird little breath of fresh air. I think I was playing it in between 2 super long JRPGs. Yeah. So I like it a bit more maybe just because of where when I played it in terms of other things. But my God, it's just like games are awesome. My sister came over once and I was playing it. She looked over my shoulder and she was like, what is that? Went home, downloaded it, played it herself too. It's one of those kind of games. It's like, games are doing this kind of stuff now for people who don't really keep track of indies and what they're doing. It's just such a great little silly thing. I love it for that.
The art is awesome, and it definitely is funny at parts. I jumped back to it the other night just to pick up a save from like, I think I was like 80% of the way through it, and just like this stupid bit of somebody selling watches on a table, and then someone was like, "Hey, wait a second! Those are just watches painted onto the table. This guy's a thief." It's like that alone. I was like, all right, that's a good reminder of the tone of this game and how absurd it is. I also just feel like I'm just running around slapping people, trying to figure like what triggers the next thing where I'm supposed to go. I don't really know exactly where I'm going here. It's just kind of aimless slapping, and occasionally something will make me lightly chuckle. It
does suffer from the adventure game, like the old adventure game stuff sometimes, where you are just like, try slap on every object.
Yeah, right.
And thankfully, like, it's delightful the whole time you're doing that, because slap is a funny verb to be doing to things, and like the game accounts for that. I adored this game. It just narrowly missed my top 10, but I mean, I love this game. It's so cute.
It's my number 5. I was really impressed on the getting lost front, where I did feel lost sometimes, but it was like, oh, if I'm allowed to go somewhere, that's where I should be going.
Yeah.
It was never a wrong decision to go somewhere. It let me go. Like it's curated in a hidden way like that to guide you through these areas and then back through these areas to set up running gags to pay off later of like a car getting stuck in the alley and they're doing different things to get rid of it every time you pass through. And yeah, even the puzzles, it feels less like a puzzle game and because they're just a delivery mechanism for punchlines.
Right.
And it, again, yeah, like Haley's saying, felt like a totally unique thing for games to be doing. And I wanted a lot more like it.
I loved its cheekiness of like the PG-13 / sometimes R-rated nonsense too. They never quite crossed the line into R-rated, but like sometimes I'd be like, oh my God, could they say that in this?
There's some innuendo. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I loved it for that point too, Leo. It's just like, you're never going to go into the wrong place and be there at the wrong time, because they'll have like the chain link fence that you snuck through. Some boxes are blocking it right now because the gardener lady is moving her turnips around or whatever. So I know I don't have to go that way at least. So it did have some sneaky behind the scenes design thing to guide you very generally. So even if you felt like you were just slapping everything, at least you're in the right room. So eventually you'll hit it instead of just the whole other side of town where it doesn't matter.
I mean, I wanted echo Ben's experience where it was like the density of humor was just not where I felt it should be, because I was just wandering around city squares so often being like, okay, I've slapped all these guys, I don't know what to do. There was more confusion on where to go than it seemed like there should be for a game that is built around delivering you a joke every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Sure.
I also found it a little navigationally challenging at times, but the thing that really dinged it for me, which is like, I mean, everything is subjective inherently, but I feel like humor in games is like even more subjective. I just didn't find it funny a lot of the times.
There we go.
And I think, Leo, you shared on the last episode, like our awards, one of your favorite moments, I won't spoil it here by reiterating it, but when you explained that, I'm like, oh, that's like such a funny gag. And I think there's an early one with flowers that I thought was pretty amusing. But so much of like the early parts of this game are just like phallic joke after jerk off joke. And I don't mind those jokes. I think they can be funny, but I felt like, okay, I get it. this thing's hard, this thing squirts something. It felt very one note to me in that sense. And I felt like I didn't think the game was funny, and that's why I ultimately didn't finish playing it. But clearly, there's been many people who have said like this game is really funny. For me, it is a humor game that I didn't find funny. So it like kind of got screwed on that part just because, it wasn't to my taste for those gags. I much preferred I thought the other ones were much more creative. It's like, oh, like a sausage. What does a sausage look like? Haha. I'm like, cool. Like, I didn't laugh at this when I was in 4th grade and someone showed me like a dick they drew on a notebook that looks like a rocket. And I'm not laughing at it now.
I would defend this game. It's more than just a bunch of dick jokes. I mean,
I'm sure, like, I completely believe you, but I guess, like, none of those stuck with me because I don't remember that as being, like, a prominent part of the humor of that game. But I also played it in, like, July, so
right.
I don't know.
I mean, Haley, where's it at on your list?
It's at 11.
Ooh.
Yeah, that might ding it, but just because there's a lot of really good games this year.
I mean, I'm putting it somewhere below Mini Shoot, but look, we're arranging this as for the next episode. But Leo, does that seem fair based on that conversation?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's a good poke, y'all?
I think Manor Lords is worth a poke. I don't know how many of us played it.
Haley and Sarah?
I played a lot of Mana Lords.
Yeah.
I played a little bit.
And this is not a reason to kick it off the list, but it is also early access, right?
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's one of those
yeah.
games where it's like
I think
the
that'll
core
be it forever.
gameplay loop is
It's
there.
like pretty much, it's like mostly done.
I definitely think it's only going to get better from this point, but it's one of those things where it's like when it reaches its final state, will it even have like a better chance? Like, does it ever get that like 1.0 launch kind of thing? So that's why it's on my list this year.
How high is it on your list, Sarah?
It's 4.
Okay.
That's pretty high.
Now we're cooking with gas. Haley?
Yeah.
It's at 19 for me.
Okay, that's fine.
It's on my 210s though. That's telling.
Just barely hanging on.
You don't get a personal 210s, you get a personal 110.
Well, then what is in my notes on my iPhone then, Kyle? Okay?
Number
Mine
11
goes
is
to
just
30,
Lorem Ipsum
so-
text. It's
That's
just
right. That's
Latin.
I did put a tasteful line between the different tens, if that helps. Yeah, this
long
isn't
as it's
as much my
tasteful.
style of game, admittedly, Sarah. So I feel like it was not necessarily ever going to like fully pop for me, but I did spend a good amount of time playing it, just streaming it with Remap. And I think one thing that I do think is really cool about Manor Lords is like the depth of the systems, which also I think makes it kind of hard to get into if you don't play a lot of those games. But like the amount of things you can do with like crop management and and I think the progression is complex in a way that seems really fulfilling for people that go back to that genre a lot. I think it, and Sarah, I'd love to hear your opinion on this, but this kind of feels like it might be in that like Diceomancer category of like a bit hard to recommend to a more like casual play base, but if you know this thing, you really appreciate it. Am I getting at something here?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was a big fan of, like, Banished, and I always love these city builders. I think what makes Manor Lords, like, really stand out to me is the complexity of systems. Like, it's the fact that, like, you can set up, like, a little hunter camp, and then you can literally watch people go back and forth from the hunter camp to their house, to the market, from the market to their house. Like, you can get that, like, really zoomed-in look that you normally can't get in these kind of games. And just, like, how important it is that you can, like, set up your little town and you can like watch it thrive, and then you can set up a town separately and you can develop your own trade routes between those two towns.
We had like a jank town that we just stole resources from, and then like the nice town
and I never
across
really
the way.
like got into that in like a Banished system. So I think it's like this one's like it doesn't, it can be wherever it has to end up on the list, but for me it's definitely like it's one of those games that I'm going to play like every year. Like I'm gonna be like, I feel like running around my little medieval town like Manor Lord's boot.
One kind of counterpoint question I have for you, Sarah, is what was your experience with like bugs with this game? Because I know there was a big conversation early in the year when this dropped, and that was something that like had halted our playthrough on Remap, where a town, like a house burned down, and like when we rebuilt it, we hit this bug where everyone thought it wasn't like there, and that kind of, and I think a lot of the community kind of vocalized that. What was your experience in that regard?
I never ran into any bugs, but I like will say that like when it first came out, it was like really unclear how some of the system works, and I still don't really like the battle system in it. Because one of the things is it's supposed to have very complex, like you can, line up all your rangers and you can control your little medieval formations. I don't really mess with that personally. I like to make a little peaceful hamlet and be left alone.
Hell yeah. Okay.
I can give it another kudos if we need it. Like, something I really liked about it was how it's really good at filling in the gaps with detail so that you don't have to spend a lot of time zhuzhing your town to make it look real. Like, it does that for you, so you can just kind of focus more on the strategy stuff. But then when you look back, you're like, this looks real. This looks like a real place where you could live. But the game does all the heavy lifting in terms of making that real. Like, so plots of land, you don't need to have perfect squares or rectangles. Like, you can make it a crazy shape, and it just fills it in with like a garden or something that you can upgrade later to have like chicken coops or whatever. But like in real life, that's how it would work, because you'd have a weird hill and you're like, oh, what do I do with this? I guess I make it a field, and you just make it that weird octagonal, like half circle shape. And that's where the field is. And then it starts to look really real, because that's how in real life that town would have had to be made with that.
It's apparently like the most medievally accurate game. Like this person, like the developer of Manor Lords went so hard that apparently this is like the best one-to-one representation of what medieval life actually was like. Which, like, I personally, I could be whatever, but I think that's a really cool detail.
Yeah, it turns out it was really fun. We should go back and live there.
What's that first-person medieval game? Does it?
You run around as a little lord. You're a little lord, and you can run
walk around.
Yeah,
and you look
like,
so
Sarah, you love getting
out
of what you're supposed to do and just walk around, because that's your thing for Flight Simulator 2. You're like, what if we just started
you can walk around?
But it is cool that you can walk around. I wish you could go into building. Like, there's definitely, and I think that's the tough spot with, to your point, Kyle, the early access thing always kind of throws a wrinkle in the sense that how valid is it to critique elements of an early access game if it's coming later? It's like, yeah, but it's not here now. So that is definitely something that
I think if it's going on the list, it has to be critiqued like standalone, even if it's going to become the greatest thing of all time.
The passion you have now for it.
Okay, I want to go inside the houses then. Why am I walking around if I can go into these houses?
I've just always felt strongly that, like, if you can buy it, then it can be considered, but it can also be criticized because they're already asking for investment and that kind of thing. Like, you're buying the product as it is, and there is that disclaimer on top of it, but it doesn't shield it from anything.
Oh, well, sure. I'll poke all day.
Oh, yeah, here, wait, can I, if we're moving on from Manor Lords, can I poke?
Sure.
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Ooh, a self-poke, the rare self-poke.
Because Jeffem, you put this on the list, right?
I nominated, yeah.
And it's like, I guess I maybe...
sins. No, I was just kidding.
I maybe incorrectly thought that I was the hottest on it here, and it, like... It's like 15 on my list.
Whoa, okay.
And it just, like, it doesn't seem, I feel like me and Jeffem are probably the only people who put significant amounts of
Sarah.
I did on mine.
Well, you got me at
okay.
I only played a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
I played like 5 or 6 hours and kind of.
So we actually all played this game.
Yeah, okay. I take it back. I would love to hear what y'all feel about Dragon's Dogma 2, because I don't really have a sense of how hot it is for other people.
What I like about this game the most is even though I've seen games that look like this, you fight guys who climb on them, you slash at their necks, whatever. Overall, as a whole complete product, it feels like its own thing in the accumulation of a bunch of different things, one of them being the no fast travel thing. I thought I was going to hate it. I ended up absolutely adoring that, because everything felt like a real life adventure. Like, when I had to go to the other side of the whole world across the ocean through the desert and then like get to this new city, I was like, pack your bags, we're going on trip. Like, it very much felt like a big event, and the game
you're like
wanted
waiting
it
for
to
the
feel
ox
like that.
cart too. You're like, all right, 5 p.m. the ox cart rolls around.
Sitting on
Get on
the
it.
bench, waiting for your bus energy, and everyone gets in. You get attacked on the way. Those things would be repetitive. They would keep doing that, but it always felt fun. One time my cart got destroyed, so I had to hoof it the whole rest of the night
Then you
to the
have to
next
walk.
cart stop. And you're like, oh my god, this sucks. I'm not strong enough to be in this area. I shouldn't have even taken the ox cart through here. The next time it works perfectly, and you just arrive in the location and you're fine. There's stops along the way where you get distracted, you do other stuff. I thought that was great. The pawn system was really, really fun. I had a lot of fun with my partner because he had his pawn, he was leveling up, and then I had mine, and we would swap all the time. So it was fun to like see what his pawn, like he'd switch up his class of pawn, and I'd almost be like pissed because I was like, no, Brigitte was really good as this. Why did you switch her freaking class? Like there's a lot of stuff going there that I found really fun that was weirdly cooperative. And like the story was kind of whatever, but I thought the end game was just so fun when everything gets flipped on its head and you're wondering what's going on and you're confused and the game changes what it is essentially for the final bit. And it's something that could be missable too. It was a bunch of different things that just made me feel like I was having an adventure in a game, which you'd think would be straightforward, but a lot of games miss the mark with that when they add things into it they just don't need.
I think at my age, I just don't have the patience for that anymore. I really bounced off of it pretty hard. Where I was I was just trying to get to point B, and this really powerful like griffin destroyed everything, and I died, and I like I'm not having fun. I'm just like wasting time. I don't know. Maybe if I had maybe given it more time, maybe, but certainly in the first 4 or 5 hours, I hit a point where I was like, I am not obligated to play this, and I'm happy to stop.
I have no dog in this fight, but every time I hear this game described to me, I'm like, this sounds like hell.
It seems like an open heart, open mind.
Please don't
game.
listen to me, but like, I don't get it.
It seems like it's like a very like I played I don't know 2 or 4 hours of it. Admittedly, I spent a long time making my pawn, who looks like Sailor Moon if she was giant and really muscular. So that part of the game rips. This does seem like, you know, I also don't have a big dog in this fight because I only played a little bit of it. It just seems like a very crunchy game that. It's like, oh, but if you squint and think about it, it's like one of the best games ever. But if you play it, it doesn't have any frames to carry any of the action. But, you know, you're kind of, so, you know, I don't know. It does seem like the people that like it seem like they really like it.
I don't know about this group though. Like Sarah, you kind of fell off by the end, right?
Yeah, but like I fell off after 40 hours.
Okay.
You know, and like I enjoyed those 40 hours, and in a different year, Dragon's Dogma would be way higher on my list. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's just like a great adventuring game. It's a great, like all the class systems are really fun. All the weird side quests. It's like very Skyrim-y to me as someone who really enjoyed Skyrim. And I really liked the systems in it. But yeah, I just got to a point where I was like, you know, I think I got all I can from this game. But it was a good time I was playing it.
Yeah, I would say, Janet, it's not necessarily a not fun to play but fun to think about game, which like to be clear, there are plenty of those games that I really like, but this is more like it just takes a lot of investment to get to the part that, or like get yourself in the mindset that is good. You know, it's like I would never make the argument that it is an easy to play or get into game, but like when I was in it, I was not like faking myself out into thinking that I was having fun. Like it is genuinely really fun. And those things, Kelsey, that you've said sound so bad, like they do add to the gameplay, but it means it's just like, it is just not like a low commitment game. You really have to like be in it to be in it.
I don't think you guys are lying. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like not having a fast travel, like those having to wait for the cart and stuff was annoying to me. But what I did like about it is before I only played roguelikes, I used to play a lot of open world games, and like this one felt so different from all the other open world games. And I think I said this when we first talked about it, but like for all the I'm a swordsman out in an open world, like this is the one that actually really felt tactile and really felt like I was getting into these big brawls where a giant wolf could come and grab you by your leg and like drag you through the forest, and you like lose your party, and like the like big battles between, you know, a giant troll and you and everybody else who was on your damn cart ride, just like running around getting knocked, like ragdolling through the air. Like it was such a more like the combat was so visceral and different from other open world, you know, I'm just going to spam a sword attack, or I'm going to do these, you know, elaborate combos, and like all the progression for you and your pawns and the way that you could work them together. I really enjoyed as well. I would throw it to the wolves to get Diceomancer on this list.
That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for.
We might be talking trades.
If it came down to me.
I mean, Haley, where's it at on your list?
It's number 8 on mine.
Okay, Jeffem, where's it on your list?
They both start with D, so that's something at least.
Something.
It's like,
It was
it's the
7.
same game.
Sarah,
11.
are we bumping down Dragon's Dogma? I would
Yes.
do it.
But it
we
was
gotta
a
start
good
looking at-
game.
We got to start looking at 19, 20, and 21.
I see
You
'em.
know, and like proposing swaps and.
I mean,
you know.
I don't think we need to do that yet. I think there's more pokes to be poked.
I think there's more pokes to be poked.
Yeah,
Can
there's
I?
a big poke.
Can I have a poke? Can I have a poke?
Yeah.
Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess.
I love Kunitsugami Path.
That's
of
what
the
we're
Goddess.
poking?
I want to I just want
Well,
to
if
get
you had to give a
read
number
on
to
it.
how much you loved it, what number would that be? Kyle?
Right.
I love it 5.
You look
The lower
fine.
the number is, the better.
Okay, that does help me in a big way. Yeah,
And even 5.
I think it's a super cool game.
This-
I'm
this-
just wondering if it's 210's cool.
No, poke 9 Souls before Kunitsugami. Like I
Yes,
love 9
please.
Souls.
I've been waiting-
but,
I've
like,
been waiting
No one
for
likes
9
that game
Souls
but
talk.
me here.
Okay, let's just real quick. I mean, the people who love Path of the Goddess, you guys are like over my dead body that's staying on this list. I'm just trying to get a read.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the more interesting games on this list, and I think we all we all had the same reaction to it, both being announced and then playing it, which was like, wow, they're making a weird, cool PS2 game. I hope that's actually good. Wow, that weird, cool PS2 game is exactly what I hoped it would be.
Correct.
I mean, my sort of. I was even on further ends of the spectrum when they announced it. I was like, I'm not going to play that. Like this looks like a strategy game. Like this like looks completely uninteresting to me. And kind of on a whim, I just started playing it, and it was one of like a few games on this list that like kept me up super late because I was just like I just loved it so much that I was like, I can't believe that this sort of light strategy game is just taking over for me so much. Like I played it to the end, like happily. I really, really loved it. And it's like, when they first showed the trailer for it, I was like, I like the way that looks, but I really was like, I don't think I'll even play that, was like my reaction to it. So it really surprised me in a big way.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's helpful. Kelsey, where's it on your list just to get a frame of reference?
It is 9 right now.
Okay. 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 That seems okay. Jacob,
But it's a passionate 9.
it's a passionate 9.
And
Absolutely.
Jacob secretly hates
9.
9 Souls? What's going on, Jacob? I thought you were like really hot on this game, right?
I am really hot on this game, but like I view there being like a distinction between the MinnMax list and my list, and I just like I don't think anyone else here even likes it. So like that's why I feel like it should be poked.
Not to mention it cheated its way onto your personal list.
Okay, I did have 2 number 4s, but I would have knocked off something else.
You disgusting
Wow, Kyle
monster.
doing his homework to use it against you.
I mean,
Hell
look,
yeah.
Consuming content to throw in your face.
can you
Thanks
make
for
the
the
case
plug.
for 9 Souls? Like,
So it's 4 then, yeah? Okay.
it's 4 on your
I
list,
don't know.
Jacob. Yeah. I mean, it's but I feel like it's been since you played it, you screaming like, my God, 9 Souls, my God, 9 Souls. So it's tough to get a read on like if you were absolutely, this thing is with a bullet on this list.
I like I said, it is with a bullet on my list. But it's not the finals for me.
Right.
You know, it's not a like no one else has played it, but I am so insanely passionate. It's like I think this game is great, and I think that there are a lot of people who I would recommend it to and they would love so much, but it just doesn't feel. I don't know. There are more. I would rather have games that more of us are passionate about on it than 9 Souls, which I like. And Ben, you bounced off of, and
I
no one
should
else
not be a
has tried
judge
it.
there. I'm so bad at this type of game. So that's
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's a parry heavy game.
I didn't try because I knew I'd be bad at it. But I did think
Same.
about it a lot.
okay.
I appreciate that, Jan.
I was
had
thinking
like
about you.
I had the worst introduction to it in Haley 2 where he
God.
jumped into Hansen's save and then he could not figure out where to go and
Well, it turns out I was
yeah.
holding the controller upside down, and then my pants fell down. Is what I remember from that stream. The vibe of it.
Yeah, it was
And you had a diaper on?
right, and it was full of poo
hell?
poo.
But like, you know,
learned a lot about
we
Batman.
jumped into Crypt Custodian, and that was one that, you know, we played for like 20 minutes, and that was one that I went out and wanted to play more of. And 9 Souls was one that I kind of scratched off the list after that because I knew it wasn't going to be for me.
But I promise if
not
Jacob
just
was
because
playing.
Hansen couldn't.
Yeah.
Not just because Hansen couldn't figure out where to go, but like the kind of like very hard Dark Souls style combat in 2D games is one that has never clicked for me. And when I got my hands on it, it was like this one's not changing that for me.
So Jacob, you're okay with taking the plunge on Nine Souls?
Yeah, just to give it its flowers as we send it off.
Yeah.
It has the best bosses in a video game since Sekiro. It's like it is an unbelievable achievement in boss combat design, which is real. It's like there's a Metroidvania around the bosses, but like this is not a game about exploring. This is a game about fighting the same boss for like 3 hours, and it does that unbelievably well. And so yeah, it's like what it does so well, and I respect it so much.
You never know. It might still be on this list, folks. Like we're not we're not done poking here.
We could poke Indiana Jones.
I think Indiana Jones is worth a poke. It's worth a tickle.
Tap that hat off him.
I am very, very...
Grab it before you die.
I'm very, very hot on Indiana Jones. Has anybody else... A lot of people playing it now, starting to sink their teeth into it.
Yeah.
I'm a couple hours in now.
Okay.
Like 4 hours in, yeah.
That's the worst part is, we're all just a couple hours in and it seems good, right?
It is.
But,
yeah.
I mean, I don't really think it's a very good game, to be honest. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's funny, we keep using fun. It's like, sometimes fun is good, sometimes fun is bad. But I think we all,
this game is so much fun, and that's why it should not be on this list.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's fun in a really like janky, chill, like paint by numbers, like straightforward structure. Like there's nothing about the design or what you're doing that seems like particularly notable to me, other than I guess it's that you're Indiana Jones, and admittedly, I'm not a big Indiana Jones fan. I feel like I rate this the same as like a Horizon.
Sarah's
the Vatican,
spot on.
I gotta say, really boring compared to like what I haven't gotten there yet.
People do
I
think
have
it's better.
seen of it.
Yes, I think the charm
But
of
the
this
people
game.
that say it's better already like it more than I liked it at the beginning.
I didn't really like it that much at the beginning. And it was a matter of jumping between the different regions and understanding kind of the breadth of what they're doing and having every region be slightly different, some more linear, some more open, and just a matter of like, okay, now let's sink our teeth into new storyline, new puzzles, new dynamics politically of this region of the world we're in, and just having that span the entire globe, like that's part of the charm. So
I'm feeling the ramp pretty hard, like especially once the Nazis showed up in a legitimate way, and like you're on the dirigible and stuff. Like
that guy,
like
Kyle.
I was enjoying it, and what happened? What did I say?
Once the Nazis showed up, Kyle was fully on board.
That's when I was like, these guys have something.
Also, the way he's saying his angle keep goes up. There's something unnatural. Just put your hand down.
No, but I mean, I like it's
stop with the hand.
Like it's a tough conversation because
the hand, Kyle.
Okay, buddy.
God, come on.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so Indy's off the list.
You know, it's like it's bringing out racism in everybody. I just feel like just get it off. Design is not interesting.
The point is, Kyle, you're feeling momentum.
The ramp is strong. Like I really want to get back to it. I am like about to go kill in Metaphor, and it's been a struggle for me to be like, I really want to get back to Indiana Jones, but it's like, but I gotta finish Metaphor, and I'm feeling the whip yank, if you will, to get back
God
to
bless
Indiana
that whip
Jones. It's like the hooks are in now, even in the storyline. You know,
Yep.
Indiana Jones gets really excited about the Great Circle, and it is infectious in a weird way.
I mean, and to come out for even the design of the early game, which I'm now in like the second big area, but like I don't think it's paint by numbers. I think that like the way that you discover quests and find new puzzles and whatever is interesting. Like that there have been many times that I've been like doing something in the pretty elaborate and ornate level design, and you find a note on a table and you think this is going to be some bit of flavor text, and it's not. It sends you on an entire like new side adventure with bespoke puzzles and whatever. Like I think that it's really cool, and it is, especially since for so many years Uncharted has been our model for what does Indiana Jones look like as a video game. To make an Indiana Jones video game that is mostly about solving puzzles and sneaking around and very minimally about shooting guys is just like a great take on it. You know, I don't think that it's the obvious thing for them to have done and I like it more because of that.
It's more a game about throwing brooms at Nazis than it is about shooting.
Does the stealth ever pick up? Because the stealth seems very, very simplistic to me in this early section.
If you play in a harder difficulty, I don't know, Leo, if you can speak to that more as a stealth man yourself, it's. I don't think the stealth is going to be game changing later on with the elaborate nature of it or anything. Like the stealth at the beginning is pretty much the stealth by the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only a couple hours in as well, but I like, charging up a big throw on a bottle. You're not sure if it's going to hit or not in a very Indiana Jones way. And there's little moments of it not being so guaranteed. Like sometimes you want a game to perfectly deliver all the information to you, see the view cones, see the light you're in where you're extra illuminated. This obviously wouldn't fit in this game, and it doesn't have to because it's about going in and out of stealth, getting spotted and adapting. And I don't know, the improvised combat, I guess, is the biggest twist to that. The tools everywhere. If you take a moment to look around, you'll find something silly to bonk the next Nazi on the head with.
Yeah, I mean,
or if you're Kyle, hand to the next Nazi as a token of your.
Oh boy, I really don't like this bit. We'll have to get away from this as quickly as I can. Maybe I should stream Wolfenstein for a while or something.
Just stop talking, Kyle.
Just murder tons of Nazis.
So where is it on everyone's list? Ben, are you the hottest on it?
Yeah, it's my number 3. Like
wow.
it is.
Really
I think it's a licensed game Hall of Fame. Like I think it made me so emotional throughout that entire thing. And if it's not on this 210s, I think we will look back 2 months from now and realize we made a terrible, terrible mistake.
That's why I want to maybe suggest, what if the finals it and move it to next year, where we all have a chance to play it more properly? Because I think I will also really like it.
Because we're gonna forget about it by
everyone. I think.
That's what you guys said about House
It's your
Flipper
number
2.
3.
I think we do it now.
No one brought
I
it up
think
this year. I played
we have a couple days until the next recording. Play what you can. Like we don't have to artificially inflate it, but I think just where our passion levels lie is where we put this thing. I don't think we punt.
It's just so tough when it comes out literally like.
Why they released it so late?
Come on, Indy.
I guess.
And they didn't send out any codes.
Bethesda
They also
style.
didn't send out any codes, which
Because it's Bethesda.
no comment.
Yeah, Bethesda's a little tight.
Oh
You
yeah,
beat
that
it though,
actually is
right,
why.
Ben?
Yep.
How long did it take?
For me, I was really mainlining it, and it took 15 hours and 40 minutes.
I got work tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
play
I'm not saying everyone
I
needs
guess
to beat
I'll-
it.
90 more
15
minutes.
hours.
Yeah, I say we just measure it for where we're at next episode because it's staying on the 210s.
I feel like it should. I like having not beat it. It feels like it should be on there.
I agree.
I'm in a place where I'm enjoying it, and we have someone who's finished it and really loves it. Like that's enough for me to have it in that consideration for sure.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to get out of Rome, and I have literally fallen asleep every time I've played it. but when I look at what isn't on the list right now, I don't feel like it feels like we'd be kicking it out for something that people aren't as passionate about. And I am everything that you've said about it, Hanson, makes me still want to keep playing and just get the hell out of Rome.
That sounds great. How's everybody feeling about these 210s at this? But just for audio listeners,
What's up with Final Fantasy?
Hang on, let me run down
All I
where
hear
we're
is
at.
bad stuff.
Oh,
Let me run down where
Everyone
we're at
hates
for
it.
everybody.
Yeah.
So
It's
210s
the finals,
as of
so
right
we have to
now
leave it there.
are 1000 Times Resist, Astrobot, Balatro, Helldivers 2, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, UFO 50, Infinity Nikki, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor Refantasio, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, Indica, Manor Lords, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Minishoot Adventures, Thank Goodness You're Here, Mouthwashing, The Finals, and Diceomancer is the unranked, currently sloppy pile. And Bubblers, Nine Souls, Dragon's Dogma 2, Rise of the Golden Idol, Shadow of the Erd Tree, Starstruck, Hands of Time, Pacific Drive, Batman Arkham Shadow, Cryptmaster, Animal Well, Wild Bastards, Crow Country, Alan Wake 2, Night Springs, and Lake House.
Can I do a poke on something that might be controversial?
Great.
I have not played Indica, so I don't feel like I can really weigh in on this, but all I've heard, fantastic story. You guys made a bunch of incredible points for like moments of the year and all of that. I have heard nothing but the actual gameplay is kind of brutal and not fun.
It's a box pushing game with a lot of cool religious stuff draped over it.
It's mostly a walking simulator that has 3 puzzles, and those puzzles are less than stellar. But it's not. I don't think it's hard to get through.
Yeah.
I kind of disagree with
Notice
that.
the gameplay being bad at any point. It was just an addition to the main things it was doing.
I personally found the gameplay to be really weak, and I wish this was a walking simulator where I only had like 3 puzzles. I felt like there were so many points where you had gameplay for gameplay's sake. I also think there are points where the gameplay was meaningful. Like, again, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Leo or somebody else, but brought up like a cool gameplay moment and like best moments. And that was really cool. And I'm like, wow, I can't wait for more of this. They're like, not only are we never doing that again, but you will have to slowly operate heavy machinery for 35 minutes. So it's not on my list for that reason, but I do think the story is really incredible. It's one of those things where I'm like, if the gameplay was better, this would be like one of my favorite games of the year. But because it's not personally on my list. And that's my Indica take.
I'm exactly in that camp with you, Janet.
After the last episode, I feel like I would be surprised if it weren't on the 210s, just because it was so impactful for so many people on this call.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
it's not the 210s if you don't like kind of hate some of it. You know what I mean? I feel like that's why I like it on there. It's like there's always those games where you're like, I didn't put that on there, and that's kind of what's fun about it too. But yeah, that's how I feel about it.
There was 2 puzzles in this game which were really cohesive with like the plot and themes of this, that it was integrating gameplay in a way that I was like, oh, let's go. They're about to pick it up. And then they kind of would just put more box puzzles in between, to the point that I'm of the opinion they should have just removed that and made this like a 2-hour less long game. And it would have been better. Like, I did not need the machinery section. I did not need the climb this pillar here very meticulously and specifically. That elevator puzzle was brutal. Why is, we don't need these things. Like, you're already doing what you need to do. And then having like 1 to 4 really good puzzles that match what the game's trying to do thematically would have carried this even better. All that is to say that this game is in my top 10, and I still love it in spite of those puzzles they inserted that I don't think they needed.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Like, I think there are a lot of puzzles that are kind of superfluous and don't add to the game, but the stuff that it's doing well is just so good. And unique and kind of unlike anything else on this list, that it's not a perfectly even, very good game, but like the highs are so high that I forgive the lows.
I was just gonna ask if this is a game that would be okay to literally just like watch a playthrough of. Like, are the puzzles that meaningless in it?
Almost.
I think so. But to be honed, I beat this game watching a Let's Play because I didn't want to have to try to figure out the few puzzles that were there.
I think you could look up solutions to the puzzles, but like you should still play it, because I think it does meaningful things with interactivity.
100%.
It's about being a video game for sure, and you will get more out of it if you engage with it there. And the heavy machinery segment, it's like you're just lifting things up and putting them down, but you're lifting up giant segments of bridges popping out cleanly like Tetris blocks. Like, even moments like that, you have enough to go like, what is going on here? Is this really what's happening? Am I seeing it in a specific way? Is this part of the greater metaphor? Like, there's a lot of things to dig into. Even the box pushing puzzles, I felt like were typically twists on box pushing puzzles. I hate box pushing puzzles.
I know.
I feel like there were like 3 boxes.
This is Kuna Catholicism, Leo. Like, come on.
So if Zelda just had like a big crucifix on a box, you'd be like, well, look at this. What a twist.
Maybe the devil's in there.
Yeah, makes you think.
It was fun when you rode the bike that one time, even though the bike didn't feel like good to drive. It was kind of fun.
The bike was fun.
That was
the
fun.
bike was fun.
I did. It feels like it's sticky. It's sticky here. We got some sticky indica.
It's getting sticky. Shout to Tyler.
Sticky indica.
Thanks, Haley.
That's something else.
Oh my, that's good.
Chat's coming alive.
Oh my god, we just got 15 subs.
Wow.
That 1 second when you made that joke, Ben.
Somebody was screaming about Final Fantasy earlier. I think it was Jeffum. Can you talk about that?
That's funny how that works. I know people.
Ben, is this your number 1?
It is my number 1. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
I think for that reason, it's probably not falling off of this.
I don't
want to hear about Final Fantasy any more than I have to. Just
Ben, I would speak for you. I think it's probably your number 1 of like the last 3 years, probably, right?
Great question.
Which is why if you get this, you don't get a gift next year. Just so you know, it's your 1 gift.
Is it my number 1 since remake? It might be. I'll have to go back and look. There's a chance.
Ben, be kinder to yourself.
Sorry. Hey, the heart wants what it wants, as all innocent people have said.
I know we're like all ready to pounce on Ben, but I enjoyed Rebirth. It's not on my top 10, but like I don't don't regret playing it. I had frustrations with it, but it had some moments that I thought were really cool and really interesting, and it looks amazing. Like, I don't want it to just be a big dog pile on this thing that Ben loves, but I certainly had a lot of frustrations with it.
Absolutely. And I'm not, as God is my witness, I'm not pushing for this thing as number one. Don't see it as we need to kill this thing in the crib situation. If it can just get past this round, I'll be so happy.
What an image.
Please.
Okay, how
I think I probably
paint that word
dislike
picture.
it. I think I probably dislike it the most, and I will complain about it plenty.
There's no way you dislike it more than
next
me.
week.
I know. Let's see Janet versus Jeffo on this one. I want to hear
Honestly,
that discussion.
is there the part of the brain that likes
interesting.
Horizon also hates Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? And me and Jeff are just.
But yeah, as Hansen's number one, I mean, we're not leaving anybody's number one off, right?
Oh, thank God. You guys are so much nicer than I thought you were going to be. I really thought it was going to
Yeah,
be.
I'm contractually obligated to. It's just math, you know?
Okay.
Everyone's
Three
number
above.
one should be on here.
I feel that way too.
Yeah.
I feel that way too.
Which everyone's
That's
number
true
one
so
is
far,
on
right?
here, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well then we solved it. Everyone's happy.
Is there anything that's in the bubbler zone that people are still pissy about? Dare I ask?
I would like Dragon's Dogma 2 on the list personally, but I get why it maybe can't. Because
I just think it's weird to do Dragon's Dogma, but not like Elden Ring, just because Elden Ring
Yep.
is like DLC. I don't know.
yeah.
I think those two are definitely.
I like Elden Ring more than Dragon's Dogma, for sure. But I don't know what I would... Like, I'm weirdly happy with the 210s right now. Like, I don't know what I'm kicking off.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are there, like, because at this point you'd kind of have to propose a swap if there was anything, you know?
Thank goodness you're here.
Yeah, let's get Batman on there. Let's knock off Thank Goodness You're Here and get Batman on there.
I mean, I actively dislike Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Just gonna throw that out
Wow. I actively just like thank goodness you're here, and I'm not just saying that
there.
because
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe we'll both
It
be
seems
right.
like we have... There are 3 people who kind of don't like Thank Goodness You're Here.
I like
With-
it fine. I was just annoyed.
But also,
by
who are the
it.
Prince of
That's
Persia
where I
crowd
am.
haters? You can show yourself. It's okay. I won't be offended. I knew this day was coming.
Look, Jacob brings up a valid point.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely I don't need Thank Goodness You're Here on this list, but I don't want to, like, it really just comes down to, like, it's not my style of humor, and it's hard to argue that with someone who it is their style of humor,
Yeah.
because I don't know how you, like, settle that.
Just appreciates that it's a style of humor we don't get in games, you know, the dry English and, you know, the lewdness of it, the wiener drawings and stuff. It's like, I have not seen a game really tackle this in this way. It
Wow.
feels like a really
Especially
They were
Disappointing
brave enough to
topic.
do it. Yeah, thank
Well,
God.
I feel like it
Not
has
since
not been
Conker's
tackled.
Bad Fur Day.
Yes.
I feel like it hasn't been conquered in a way that is like not like Rick and Morty-y, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we've had dick jokes before, but they've been more in the like you know, American Adult Swim kind of humor as opposed to like the dry English version of that humor.
Look,
I mean, these ones
really,
feel the
I
same.
really
It's
don't
like
mean that in a
something
bad way,
squirts.
but I felt like I was playing an Adult Swim cartoon while I was playing this. Like it
So you put a
I was
sausage
like,
through the
wow,
hole, it's a
I don't
glory
really
hole,
like
it's
those.
like, yeah,
this
I
isn't
get it.
working for me.
I mean,
This
Leo.
whole section of the podcast is just unadvertisable. Also, just it shows Pet if you want to stamp this out.
Yeah, Factor Meals. You want sausage at home? So Leo, as someone, did you beat Starstruck?
No.
Okay, because was it Jacob or Kelsey that were like, I laughed way more at Starstruck.
Yeah, the one bit with a frog
sure.
and Starstruck
Yes.
I thought was funnier than everything, and thank goodness you're here.
I agree with that for what it's worth, and I did like Thank Goodness You're Here. So
Okay, I mean and I agree wholeheartedly. But
So
I
it would be
I'm having trouble making the swap because I think that Goodness You're Here brings value to the list by its uniqueness. And the list gets...
and
Less
Starstruck
unique.
is not.
Starstruck
Oh, of
is
course it does. Of course it does. It gets the same amount unique for swapping into Starstruck. I'd rather
Yeah.
swap like a roll around, drink potions.
yeah, because we kind of started by talking about Elden Ring, but I
Right.
agree that it would be nice to have like a weird kind of art comedy game on
Right.
here rather than like another sword guy.
I do.
I would be very happy with Starstruck over Thank Goodness You're Here if that's like the slot we are opening for that.
I hear that. I would too. I do want to just give the due to Elden Ring. I mean, are we
Well, that could also, like, mini shoot also felt kind of squishy.
It's a little squishy. Yep.
Right?
So we're just repoking.
I personally
it's a fair-
wouldn't trade mini shoot for Elden Ring myself.
Okay.
And you
It's
did
such a weird
beat both.
conversation when you think about
beat
it.
both.
It's like,
That's
Who are the mini shoot defenders?
show yourselves.
Me too, but
Those four,
but
we've
I'm
got 4
show
people.
yourselves.
Four and a
I'm
half.
willing
But
to
are
let
you-
it die.
Who are the staunch mini shoot defenders? Who is not
I'm staunch.
flipping
It's
for mini
it's high
shoot?
on my
Okay.
personal
I'm
list. I
staunch.
really like that game a lot.
We got 3 staunches.
That's just because it's Zelda.
I'm pretty staunch.
Kyle, that's just a Zelda game with a different
Yeah,
name.
it's yeah. You know what Zelda is synonymous with? Great game design.
Ugh.
Okay, well then where's Animal Well? Because, no, I'm just kidding. It's not every much of it is a Zelda game, but a lot of them are. It's kind of confusing.
We could have a staunch off with Manor Lords.
Staunch off.
Staunch off.
That sounds super gross. Yeah, what's going on?
I mean, but again,
I mean,
Sarah. Okay, here's-
I'm at a disadvantage. I
You
will
are.
admit.
you
Yeah.
are Sarah. How are you feeling about Erdtree versus Manor Lords?
Manor Lords is higher for me.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. I just want to make sure the Elden Ring people aren't like, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, you can walk around in Elden Ring, Sarah. It's like a thing you can do.
Yeah, it's number.
Yeah, but you don't
Elden
get out
Ring
of
is, like,
anything
6
to do
for
it.
me. I don't know. Elden Ring is like my midpoint on my list.
Okay. That's interesting. Jacob is another Elden Ring big guy.
I'm not too furious with Shadow of the Erd Tree not being on. I think it's okay. You know, it's a great game and we all know it.
Yeah, I don't mind it not being on there. Like, it is more of a thing I loved with Elden Ring. It didn't really, like, I know Jacob says he feels like it was like better than Elden Ring. I don't know. Am I misquoting you there? I don't know if that's really quite what you said. But like, I just felt like, oh, I got to play another, however long it was, 20, 30 hours of more Elden Ring, and I was like, that's great. It just felt like an extension of that thing I liked, which isn't enough to like put it in my personal top 10 list.
Yeah.
Me.
And just for the sake of a poke, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, that's rock solid. And
That's rock solid.
okay,
baby.
okay,
I like
okay.
That's
okay.
my number 2.
Okay.
And it
I'm
was
too dumb
maybe
to tell you otherwise.
it was maybe it was a serious contender for my number 1 personally.
Okay.
So I
Just
yeah, I don't
wanted to
think
ask.
it's
Just
going
wanted to
anywhere.
ask.
Lorelai's 5 for me personally.
I mean, I don't want to.
Oh, now 5s matter. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wait, what was your 5, Sarah?
Rise of the Golden Idol.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Well, sure.
Oh, that's too bad.
I mean, everything's
Like, that
everything's on the
works?
table.
Swapping out
No, it's not.
Manor Lords with?
No, because Manor Lords is 4 for me.
Okay.
So.
Oh, okay.
I would.
Man.
I mean, talk me off this cliff. I would love to get Starstruck in there over Thank Goodness You're Here.
I would love to, and of course I'm just being precious, but maybe I'm being, I don't know, maybe I need extra convincing, but I feel like every single thing on this list needs to be poked. And
Yeah.
we may as well do that first.
Okay.
Interesting.
What do you want to do? You want to poke anything in particular?
I'd love to find out where Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth ended up on people's lists. I liked it. It's not on my list.
On
It's
mine.
3 for me.
I have it above
5.
4.
8
Yeah.
or 7. I can't 7. Maybe.
I played an hour of that game, and then I went back and played all of 7, and then all of 8 right after. Like, that game was like,
It's so good it made Haley play a different 70-hour game.
Yeah, literally.
Just
Yeah,
like
I
Rebirth.
don't
did.
think that's pokeable. I would be surprised if it's even super pokeable for not making the top 10.
I agree.
I mean, I think
Okay.
it might, but
Those might be the most likable characters in any game I've ever played, to the point that I'm waiting to see Ichiban again, like a weirdo stalker. I can't
Likeable or
wait.
dragonable.
Well,
And
what about-
metaphor is pretty strong on this list too for everybody, I imagine, right? I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's on my
Yeah.
list as well. I it's up there. Yeah, number.
What about-
4?
What about Helldivers 2?
Great question.
Great question.
Great question.
Great
Helldiver
question.
Defenders, where you at?
Me.
I'm a
What
light
number?
defender.
Give us a number.
10.
2.
That's a number.
2.
It
2.
is
Wow.
2 is high.
10 for me as well.
Ooh,
which
okay.
is low,
Kelsey, you saved
but-
a Helldiver's life today. Congratulations with
I'm
that
very
too.
intrigued by Kelsey, though, because you don't really play first person or like multiplayer
No, and
shooters,
I-
but you love this, so that's telling.
I think that's why it's so interesting for me is like this just completely grabbed me in a genre I do not play normally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I have tried to play multiple times. It's not just like, this is my first shooter, and wow, I've been introduced to a whole new world. Yeah.
How did Starstruck? We're arguing for Starstruck now, right? But it ended up falling below 4 other.
I mean, this bubbler rank is pretty sloppy. This is not.
But was it? Because I feel like it was higher, and then we talked about it, and then it kind of got bumped down.
I made the list, and I was not very precious about where things were going in the bubblers.
I think you kind of felt like that. It just seems like right now we're arguing like we need the funny game, the funny, interesting game on the list, and that could just be either Thank Goodness You're Here or Starstruck.
Except we all like Starstruck, and the people who played Thank Goodness You're Here are a little mixed.
I know Starstruck's like newer, but it doesn't have detractors in the same way that Thank Goodness You're Here does.
Yeah,
but also fewer people have played it.
Though,
so
also,
yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah,
but
I feel like I got less play time.
Yeah. Also,
not to say Thank Goodness You're Here because I don't care.
And
way,
I think it's very possible that if more people had played it, they would have not super nice things to say about it, because it is a weird game. Like, I don't think that it's a rock solid, you could find no faults with it kind of game.
Silly question. Maybe we already asked it. Where is Starstruck on the list for people?
Like personal top 10s?
Yeah.
I currently have it at 7.
Okay. I don't think it made my cut.
I think that's how it ended up.
I think you might be right, Jeff.
Yeah.
I think you might be right.
I think just because it's similar genre to Thank Goodness You're Here, and we were poking that at the time, it suddenly got its second call.
Is it a similar genre or a similar tone? Am
Vibe.
I getting the semantics here?
General vibe.
I don't know.
It's not even really the
artsy,
same.
funny game, but no.
Yeah.
It's not about slicing stuff with a sword.
No, it certainly is not that. Okay.
I think there's a reason we don't do this by math, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank goodness you're here. Having more detractors means something.
Well, Leo, you're number one defender of Thank Goodness You're Here. You're here. How are you feeling about it?
I don't know. Haley almost got her first tattoo.
That is true. That is true.
Not on our top 10.
That's pretty crazy.
Also, did she get a tattoo though? Show us your sleeves.
It's because I'm scared of needles.
And why is that?
If
you really wanted to go
for needles,
you would have got tatted up. Okay, I thought about a lot of tattoos too. No, I'm just joking around.
Just get a metaphor sleeve, and then you guys are like, I guess it's game of the year.
Honestly, if you get a tattoo in the game, I think you should get an extra.
Yeah, you're locked in.
An extra point for game that you done.
Went to the tattoo parlor.
Yeah.
I want to get a Batman VR tattoo.
Sorry.
Like Batman parentheses the VR game.
No, dude, just get the meta
when
logo.
they give you merch and they refuse to not put the game's
go
full
hard, Kyle.
trademark name on it.
I mean, at this point, it feels like we are poking at Thank Goodness You're Here because some people don't like Thank Goodness You're Here, but we're kind of, every time someone comes up with a possible switch for it, we seem kind of wishy-washy on it.
Yeah.
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 Mouthwashy.
Leo,
I would like to hear more about Infinity Nikki and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Great
All
pokes.
right.
Great
Sarah,
pokes.
you and me got called up. Let's go.
Yeah. I'll do Infinity Nikki because I do feel like I am on the chopping block for that one.
Is that your number 1 though?
It's my number 2 because Fields of Mystery is my number 1.
2's really
so that's basically my number 1.
For this
So it is her
list,
de
that means
facto
it's your
For
number
this
1.
list, that's one.
Yeah. But I mean, like, to me, as somebody who really enjoys dress-up games and, like, they're, like, my secret passion, like, I don't really tell people that I play them, but I do actively play them. To get, like, an Infinity Nikki game and to, like, be pandered to in this way is such a new thing for me. In an open-world game that genuinely has a huge budget to it, like, I couldn't ask for more, you know? Like, this is, I feel like, the first time that I get to, like, be like, look, you guys, a dress-up game that's, like, good and not on your phone? So yeah, Infinity Nikki for me is just, like, yeah, and on your phone. It's just one of those, like, it's like my inner child has healed playing my princess dress-up game with, like, surprisingly, you know, it has some, like, deeper, darker themes to it. Like, I like that it goes into, like, areas that you wouldn't think it would, just because it is sort of a more, like, aged up game. But, like, the graphics are incredible. Like, there's so much to do. I love just crafting my little outfits, finding a location that I'm like, this is a nice location. I should put on an outfit and take a photo here. Making my little outfit, taking my photo. Like, truly, I am just so glad that they made this game. For me, personally, and nobody else.
I'll back Sarah up. I'm having a great time with it.
It is cool. As someone who should hate it, I gotta admit it, it's cool.
I rate it around when I rate Indiana Jones, maybe a bit higher. I do think it's pretty strong in its like general construction, and the environments are like kind of 3D platformery. Like I'm having a good time with it. It's not on my list, but it's a game I enjoy. But that's true of plenty of games on this list. Like there are plenty of games here that I liked, but not enough to put on my personal list.
We can put it
if that's
by
worth anything.
wherever the finals of Dice-O-Mancer ends up.
The Freak Pit, yeah.
The Freak Pit,
yeah. The dejection in your voice already, because you know what's gonna happen.
Sarah, I think it's gonna be a little
to
higher
the Freak
than that.
Pit.
Because I mean, like several of us are playing it and enjoying it.
Yeah, hold your infinity.
Yeah, I messaged you on Infinity, Nikki. Please respond, Sarah. Just, but yeah, it's I think it has like a fun sort of progression system to it. It's not like melting my face off, but I have been enjoying it and coming back to it. And I think it's easy to look at it and assume it would maybe be not as thoroughly constructed as it is. Like really, I don't have that many beefs with the game. It's mostly that the dash feels a little slow. Like there's some parts that I wish felt a little bit snappier, but I also know that some of that comes with like the progression of the game that I just haven't gotten to yet. While Sarah's like level 85 at the time of recording or something.
You need the
I got my fairy outfit. Yeah, I
Congratulations.
finally got my fairy outfit.
Damn.
I'm not going to get it because I didn't have enough gems.
I just desperately wish that game was premium. Like I was really excited for that game, and we featured in the pages of Game Informer a lot at the behest often of Blake Hester, and I was like, this looks amazing. But the second it was announced, like it was revealed that it was free to play, all of my interest dissipated.
Just try
I think
it.
gotcha mechanics are like absolutely
glad
horrible, and like I don't even want to recommend it to my child because like I don't want her engaging with that kind of thing. So, which is a bum, and I feel like I'm not coming in to say that as like it shouldn't be on the list. I want it on the list. It looks amazing. I totally hear your passion and everything, but it's just like. I was just so sad when I was like, oh, free to play.
I mean, let me just like defend like the free to play aspect of it is because this is like a fashion game. They're going to constantly be adding new clothes to it. There's constantly going to be new items available in the shop. It's got like, it's kind of like Genshin where they've got like 5 different world plans to it and we're only in the first one. And like, I wouldn't get that if it wasn't, if it like was a paid game. If it was a paid game, there'd be like crap outfits in a limited map and I wouldn't feel like I had as many options. Like, so I genuinely, in this case, for like a game like this where it's like, just literally I want to consume fashion, like keep it coming, you know?
I can't come for the gacha because I spent real world money to look like Vegeta in Fortnite. So I just, you know what I mean?
all
It's
been
like, yay.
Yeah, but you didn't have to roll a dice for that at least.
Yeah,
I think
That is true.
I think every game does like get worse with the gacha mechanics over time. Like they always just crank it up, and so it's always like better at the beginning. But in its defense, right now, as it stands, it is a completely optional. Like not even, it doesn't even really help with anything in the game. It's just if you like this outfit that they're advertising, and you're like, man, really want that outfit in particular. It won't really like help you in any way.
What about the greatest costume of all? A crown, but it's lost?
Oh yeah, right.
Is there just? I just want. I mean, we don't need to make the full case. I'm just curious. Like, there is a group of people who are like, absolutely, hell yeah, this is on this list.
I feel pretty passionate about it. It's my number 4.
Okay,
my number 4 as well. I have 2 number 4s.
Which means you can't be mean to me. No, yeah, Jacob's 2. So we have to look past Jacob's 2 4s.
Yeah, this
I have a
call
real
it my number
regular
5.
4.
It's still it's good on my list.
Okay.
Yeah, it's obviously been a million years since this game came out. Since then, they sadly shut the studio, which sucks. This is an awesome game. It sort of is. I think what's really impressive about Prince of Persia: Lost Crown is that it's nailing so many genres at once. Like, not only is it a fantastic Metroidvania for the, the stuff we've talked about in previous content pieces, like the sort of snapshot of where you were on the map. They also patched one of the only complaints I had about this game, which was fast traveling between each tree. I'm like, why can't you do that? Then they're like, I don't know, we fixed it. And I'm like, great game gets better. The combat is incredible while being really accessible. I am not a super combat verse person. Like, it's why I keep bouncing off of every 2 Souls games that I end up playing. But this has like a really clear-cut parry mechanic. It has an amulet system that I think really helps curve the difficulty in different directions, where like I love a game that's designed within the mechanics around adjusting how you want to play and also how challenging you want your play to be. So it's like, if you want to buff health, there's probably an amulet for it. I don't have them memorized because it was like January or whatever. If you want to like do more damage, but you take more damage because you know you have the skills for it, boom, you can do that. This game feels incredible to play. If you've played any of the Ori games, it has that kind of snappiness, which is such a rarity. It is also a banger platformer game. The platforming in this game is immaculate. And they, like, getting through it, I think can be maybe a little bit tough if you're not as skilled in a platformer. But if you are a platformer sicko, which I am, they also have challenge stuff that's really exciting to do. They have like the impossible climb. I did this hell room for like 30 minutes and all they gave me was a pair of pants and I wasn't pissed off because
I did that
it
one
was
too,
so
Janet.
fun to do. I'm like, I don't even care that you just put a pair of pants in here. Like, it's so fun. It's so great. I think my only personal ding on the game holistically is I personally found some of the bosses to be a little too rough in their tooling. That might just be a personal skill issue, but there were a couple of bosses where I said, let me knock this down easy and kind of keep going through the game. But other than that, I feel like it was just absolutely fantastic. This is one of the best games in this genre that I've played. I am incredibly sad that the studio isn't around anymore to keep playing this, and it is really, really freaking cool.
Yeah,
it's
like
it's the best possible version of a AAA 2D Metroidvania. Like it is, you know, it is the most polished game I have ever played in this genre, where it just feels like anything that I had been frustrated by in the past in any number of these games has been thought about and considered and designed around. To touch on things that Janet didn't even get to because there are so many good things. The animation work in this game is staggering. Like there's a counter move that you get in the middle of the game that literally it's like, you know, a 3 special bar counter that I kept on even though it wasn't that useful because landing it looked like a fight scene from One Punch Man, where it was just like I just liked watching it happen so much that I like kept it on my character. It's just like every individual part of it would be like a standout in some other version of this game. And the fact that it has combat that's this good and platforming this good and world design this good, it is the whole package.
UFO 50 is staying
on the...
It's a great
fit for Prince of Persia as well. Like it feels like a kind of natural continuation of the old 2D ones. I didn't finish it, but I'm happy having it on this list.
Yeah, I really loved it.
And also again, what are we trying to make room for?
We're just
I think just
final
to feel
pokes.
something, you know, like
Final
just
pokes.
double check. Just
Yeah.
one thing.
I want to
Feel-
live in a world where Starstruck and Thank Goodness You're Here could be on this list, but it's seeming like that's not the world we live in.
I think it's a tough one. And just, we don't need to go into the full spiel, but UFO 50, this group feels like it's on this list.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel that way too. I just, you never know how the other person's feeling here.
I have to be honest, that's not in my top 10, but it's number 11.
Okay.
You know, which is,
I'll take it.
if you take your glasses off, that's basically 10. So.
That's it.
Yeah, that's your second 10 if we're going with 2 4s here.
Yeah. So, and it is like super rad. I feel like every year we have like also just interesting games on the list. And I think UFO 50 is probably one of the most interesting games in a long time.
I'm excited to talk more about it.
I am too, yeah.
That's definitely making it.
I mean, I can sleep with this list. Respectfully.
Sick.
Inappropriate.
Oh man.
Okay, everybody.
When Jeffem says like disapproving Ben things, it sounds so much more real. Because
he has a father figure. Yeah.
I'm willing to concede, thank goodness you're here, for Starstruck.
Whoa.
Having,
Leo,
been through all
before
this.
you say that, take it back, because I was just going to ask how people thought about replacing Mini Shoot with Starstruck.
That's my dream, to be honest.
I do not feel
And
good
then
about
Kyle,
that.
you hate Batman, to be clear, right? Is it's like number 9 or where is this at in your list?
What do I need to say so that Mini Shoot doesn't come off the list? To respond to that question.
Yeah. Kelsey, I mean, I guess you
So
finished
the
them
truth
both
is you think it's
too.
a better game than Mini Shoot, but you're a coward. Okay, I got it.
Mini Shoot is higher on my list than Batman, to be clear.
Okay.
Yeah, Mini Shoot
well.
I enjoyed a lot more than Starstruck. But I think Starstruck's
Maybe we
cool
already
as hell.
won and we just don't know it yet.
Kelsey, did you enjoy Starstruck more than Mini Shoot?
Yes, and I think it's more interesting, but I still really like Mini Shoot, so it's tough because it's like You're just looking at both of your children and deciding which
Kill
one.
one.
People do it every day.
kill,
People
so-
do it every day.
And again, the Bible comes back.
Yeah, I don't want to gloss over the part where Leo said, "Throw my baby down the well," because that sounds like a pretty good offer.
But is he just building good faith for later? You know what I mean?
I don't care. I'll
I
take it
didn't hear him
now.
say
Finals is
that.
number
I
two
don't
on
think that
this.
happened.
Give me that marshmallow right now.
I think this list is so much more lovely with both those games on it, but if nothing else will be offered up, then it sounded like Starstruck had more positives with less negatives, and it's a delightful indie I'd love to shout out. I mean, it was brought up on the community submitted list of games we missed this year, and suddenly we're like, half of us saw the trailer, we're like, what the hell is that? And went and played it, and then most of us beat it.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
that says something, and that's, I don't know, that's cool.
Yeah, and it
What was the
does
community
currently
rate?
have 136 reviews on Steam.
That's
Right.
crazy.
Just in terms of the social good that we could do with this list, but that shouldn't be a decision.
I was about to say, yeah, I
It's
don't
tough.
love
It's
that
tough.
as like an argument for it to be on the list.
But it is nice to leave feeling like a better person than other people, isn't it, though? You know, we can't take that out of account.
I mean, the real thing is, I feel like, thank goodness they're here only stayed because of me for so long, and I don't need that.
Wow.
I
But it
have
was
other
your
things that prove my self-worth.
but it was your number 5,
Yeah.
which was higher than Starstruck.
Yeah, but a lot of people were not hot on it.
Right.
I'm also hot on it, if that helps
That's
the
true.
math.
Yeah,
That's
Haley
true.
was going to go get a tattoo. What more you want?
But it's not.
what do you
in
want
her
for
top
me?
10.
I was going to write the next
What if
Great
we all
American
come back,
novel.
play it, and then we're like, actually, this game sucks? Like, what happens then? Can we swap it back? It's only 4 hours.
Nope, we lock
That's
it
a little
down.
more doable than 15 of Indiana Jones.
Jeff, you're defending
I
this
still
game
think
more than its
we
biggest
move
champion.
sweet little Indiana to next year, and then we solve our freaking
No
problem.
way.
And Indy
No
can get his
way.
roses
I really
if he
want-
just
I'm
waits.
good with
It's
that.
Andy's
Indy's
time
not getting
now.
his roses.
It's
next
messy
week.
either way, but it's like, it's just one thing on this list that we're all pretending we understand.
Dude, I mean, there's no universe
yeah.
where this list is going to be overflowing next year. Can you imagine trying to remember something that came out in December of last year,
We're
like
doing
the finals?
It with the finals, literally.
If
Yeah,
your
he's
game
been
is
playing
good
it
enough,
all
it'll-
year. It's not like a narrative
You'll
game that it's going to be
recall
a
it, you
band-aid
know?
that you rip
Yeah.
off and forget about.
I
think
promise I'll replay Indiana Jones next November.
no, we do it now.
I feel like the
do it
passion's
now.
here now.
What's
The
that?
passion's here now.
promise.
The passions for indie is here now. Yes.
Both
When did you
options
play
are
Final
valid.
Fantasy VII? What month? February?
Yeah.
Well, how you feel?
Yeah, Prince of Persia's like a January game, you know?
How do you feel? Pretty passionate. Right?
Haley, no. As Abraham
difference?
Lincoln once said in Spielberg's movie, now. Give
difference.
indie his
That's a
props
2-month
now.
difference.
Here's this exact case counterpoint. No.
Oh my!
I think
goodness.
we
Well,
give
It was just a suggestion for a possible. We all have our cake and eat it too.
I mean, there's
but we're not. We're
Kicking the
robbing
problem
it.
till next year.
Yeah,
is
we're gonna
not
be
having
so
a cake
punished
I love
next
putting
year.
off problems. Why are we all
just-
poo-pooing
yeah,
putting
do it
off
all
things?
No,
Because
I
it
love
is running
doing
for
that.
office.
don't procrastinate.
This is a debate. Like I know, like Ben and I and Jeff, like we've done these for the last 10 years. There's always one of these. There's always going to be one of these, like forever, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was
And we can't-
Cyberpunk one year. It was, it's like, it's always going to be one of those.
Yep. And there's plenty of other games on this list that only one person's beat. Not an issue.
But I think I'll really like Indiana. I think I'll help you out
then-
with the passion.
No.
Right. It's
I'd be
not gonna
surprised if I
accurate.
turn, to be honest, but I'm curious what it lies
There
at the
just
end.
No,
isn't enough time in the year. And December's busy for lawyers, so
Look,
I can't help you.
That's Bethesda's problem.
Yeah, and it is like, well, more people here should have beat 1,000 times Resist, and they haven't.
Correct.
Even though that came out a
Good
while
amount
ago.
of people beat it, though.
Well, but you
beat
get the
it.
point that I'm making is like if we're
Okay.
putting off a game just because not enough of us have beat it, then like it's almost time irrespective.
Well, no,
And
this
I-
came out a
It's a
week
matter
ago.
of not having time to beat it, wanting to.
Yeah, there's literally not enough time.
I feel like if you didn't beat 1,000 times this is because you chose not to. That's why
Yeah.
Marco died because of my sins, and I have to live with that.
Yeah. I finished Indiana Jones. I didn't.
So Indiana Jones. Well, okay.
I started it like
Mr.
one day early.
Great, Mr. Great Scheduler. Finished the game. All
That's
right.
right.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I
Okay, so that's staying then, I guess, right?
I
Yeah.
feel strongly about that, Stan. Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
But noted Haley and respected Haley.
Look, to poke something else, Jeff, Diceomancer is your number 3?
Yeah, and it's really great. That's better
but
than
it's
5, Jacob. And it's
to
better
beg
than
you to put it
8
up
or
there,
7
though.
or whatever
You are the
Starstruck
only
is.
person who's played it, and it's not your number 1. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's not my number 1, Jacob. It's still beating everybody else's, final bubbler that we're like, you know what? The list is great the way it is. Let's just leave it. We already sacrificed, where's thank goodness you're gone now. Let's just end it.
Yep. I mean, yeah, I do think we're at a point. I know no one's perfect with this list, but if no one's feeling some great egregiousness,
He's highlighting Diceomancer.
I'm not. I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
No,
what's
that was
going
me.
on with
I was copy pasting it to see when it came out.
Well, stop it! You're making it seem like it's the target.
It looked like he was going to delete it.
No, that was me. Sorry. Here. De-highlighted.
Are we to a point of contentness with the world?
This is perfect.
I
Just
we can do
make a
any
Slitterhead.
quick note of something to talk about in the pissy zone, and then I think I'll be set here.
I mean, that is
You
just
feel very content right now. That's the word I would use based on the vibes here. Yeah.
Jacob. I do think, other than Mario Party Jamboree, I do think Slitterhead is the biggest linger out here. That like,
I mean, it's my number 9. I'm not
Why are we
gonna
going all the
try
way
to
down the bottom of the
give
Just
list to
looking,
look at
just
stuff? You know what I
looking.
mean? What's going on here?
At that point, give me Black Ops 6. Like, what are we doing? Like,
okay,
oh, okay.
You can have it.
yeah,
my God,
Manor
yeah,
Lords for Black Ops 6. I think we.
I don't know
all
where it's
agree.
gonna fit.
Black Ops 6.
The opposite of 1,000 times resist is probably Black Ops
1,000
6.
times
Exact
submit.
opposite.
Should we do a separate 210s that's just like the list that would upset the most people?
Ooh, interesting.
Ooh,
yeah,
that'd be funny.
That does
we
sound
didn't
good.
have
That's
it
good
on
We're
pissy zone
already doing
content.
that for some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people.
All right. Is this
That's how
the
you know
list?
you got the list, It's like you're a little mad, but you can't be too mad. It's a good spot. It's like,
Is this
this
it,
is- this is probably
folks? Is this the
Oh my God, we
210s?
forgot about Wukong.
oh my God. The strokes?
Oh my god.
Game?
Oh my god.
We almost just didn't say it.
Yeah. I mean, Jacob, just for a glimmer of its due, Jacob, you played it and you're like, not so
I
much.
played it and I didn't like it.
Okay.
So that's why it wasn't mentioned.
There we go. Is this the list?
Close it.
Yeah, it is. It's going to get rearranged, Ben. But
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
list.
Is everyone feeling good?
Yeah.
Leo?
As good as I
It is,
can.
we're going to feel, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll save it for the pissy zone.
Okay. And the Pissy Zone, by the way,
Sorry
if
to
you're
beat my
at
games.
the
No,
backstage
just-
pass tier, after the final episode, we let her rip. And that's if you're new, that when we're talking about the Pissy Zone, we're talking about that
Yeah, we
post show.
probably should have.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
all understand
God.
what this is.
Of course.
I think we all know what you're talking
All
about,
right.
yeah.
The 210s, unlisted, unranked. Well, listed, not ranked. Shaken, not stirred. Is 1,000 times resist, Astrobot, Balatro. No pokes there. Helldivers 2, Loreline the Laser Eyes, UFO 50, Infinity Nikki, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor Refantasio, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Prince of Persia The Lost Crown, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, Indica, Manor Lords, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Mini Shoot Adventures, Starstruck, Hands of Time, Mouthwashing, The Finals, Diceomancer. Is that it, folks?
Nailed it.
All right. The chasm is spreading. You are banished to the lower realm now, rest of the list. Next episode.
These games are officially trash.
That's right. All right, next episode airing next week. We are going to be ranking and locking down the 210s, finding out what is MinnMax's game of the year for 2024, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this. Thank you so much for spreading the word about MinnMax. We greatly appreciate that. And thanks to everybody who wants to jump up to the $10 tier just for 1 month. It's fine. And then you can watch the unedited version of all this early, which at this point includes like at least probably an hour and a half. Yeah, at least an hour and a half of unaired material because there's been a lot of downtime that I'll be editing out. That'll leave all that in there and stuff, like our dinner break and stuff, and the Pissy Zone. So thanks everybody who unlocks that. Greatly appreciate it. And shout out to Haley and Kelsey and Janet for the Christmas special that went up earlier this week on MinnMax's YouTube channel. It was a real hoot. Glad you all did that. If you want to get in the Christmas mood, even though Christmas is over, you can go back and watch that on MinnMax's YouTube channel. All right. Everybody feeling good? Ready for next week?
Yeah.
Let's finish this sucker off. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Until next week, be good, have fun. Let's go.